The views and opinions expressed of On the Spot with David Rodgers show are solely based on the show's hosts, guests, and viewers, and we are solely responsible for all show content in its entirety and does not reflect the opinions and views of any of our sponsors in any way. These broadcasts and presented made by the public to the On the Spot with David Rodgers staff and hope that it will be entertaining and informative to our viewers and listening audience. Part to that, David? There was another part to that, wasn't it? Wasn't there another part to that? Okay.
You ready?
Yep. Pull it up. You gotta pull it up. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome On the Spot with David Rodgers. This is a live interactive Facebook show where you, the viewer, has control of each and all subjects to include politics, sports, world news, and anything else that you would like to discuss. Tonight, Saturday night, I want to welcome you guys in. We are broadcasting live from the EOC room here at the Bradford County Sheriff's Office. Great show tonight, Mitchell, we've got planned up.
Oh, definitely.
Hey, we've got a couple of great guests. First and foremost, we're going to have ex-sheriff, retired county manager, and vice president of the Bradford County Food Pantry. Mr. Bob Miller is going to join us. And then after that, we're going to have Sheriff Gordon Smith, the current sheriff, come on and discuss several things as well. So we hope this show is going to be very informative to you, the audience. And we're going to go ahead and get ready and get started. But first and foremost, I want to introduce to my left our producer. Say hello to Mr. David Holland. David Holland.
Hello, everybody.
And to my right here with the local news. Everything local. You're always looking out for something too, aren't you, Mitchell?
Always.
Hey, this is Mr. Mitchell Gunner. Mr. Mitchell Gunner, say hello to everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone.
And, of course, to my left right here, and he'll be back in a few moments, I hope, that's our historian and government whiz on politics and everything else that's going on politically and in the world today, Mr. Byron Bagwell. And I'm your host, Mr. Friday Night David Rodgers, voice of the Bradford Tornadoes, and
the show pony.
The show pony. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into On the Spot. Glad to have you here on a Saturday night. Glad that you can join us here as well. If y'all don't know anything about On the Spot, we have shows on Tuesdays and Saturday nights. Tuesdays, we start at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and on Saturdays, 7 p.m. Eastern Time as well. Got all kinds of viewers, Mitchell, from all over the world. We've had hits from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, Milan, Italy. We've had them from Europe, all parts of Europe. We have them here all over the United States. And I tell you, it's a great show. We try to bring out the information as good as we know it. And if we don't know an answer, of course, we'll try to find it for you. But you're the guys that run this show. You're the guys that steer this big old vessel, as we always say. We're just the rudder that keeps it trying to right in the middle, Byron, if I can say that. So, as always, we're going to start off with our prayer, our pledge, and then, of course, hey, a quote of the week, which I'm sure you always have one.
Yes, sir.
So,
I sure do.
I'm going to do this. Ex-Sheriff, Mr. Bob Miller, can you come lead us in a prayer, please, sir?
Be glad to, David, and
All
your
right.
viewers. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Father God, we thank you for this beautiful day. You've given us the rain that we needed, that was necessary for the area. We thank you for your continued hedge of protection around those with the COVID-19 going on. So as the viewers tune in tonight, may what's said here be pleasing and acceptable in your sight and informative to all those watching. And all of God's men and women said,
Amen. Thank you, Bob. So, Mr. Byron Bagwell, we're going to stand for the pledge. Sure. I didn't know if that was a phone call you needed to take, but we're going to stand. And, we'll do it here since everybody can see. And, Byron, won't you lead us in the pledge tonight?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen. Amen. All right. Mr. Bagwell, what do you have for us as far as a quote tonight?
I believe I'm going to give a little bit of a quote that maybe fits the times a little bit better than some of this stuff that we normally do. And this is by a former Prime Minister of Great Britain.
All right.
We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. And that was Winston Churchill.
That's a good one there. Again, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, on the spot with David Rodgers.
And I know I'm not supposed to do that, but I have got to go, guys. I
Okay.
want to come in and say the prayer and do the pledge with you guys.
Okay.
I don't know what time I'm going to be back because I don't know if I'm going to have to go other places.
All right.
When
Well,
duty calls, duty calls.
Duty call.
that's it. So as Mr. Bagwell leaves, Byron, be safe. Take your time out there on the road. Do what you got to do. Mr. Byron Bagwell works for Haven Hospice. He's on a call tonight, serving not only his job, but whoever needs help out there as far as needing any kind of hospice equipment or everything. Mr. Bagwell's going to go take care of it. So now I'm going to go ahead and invite Mr. Bob Milner in. Come on, Mr. Bob Milner. Join us to our left here. Again, welcome to On the Spot with David Rodgers. We are the live Facebook interactive show where you, the viewer, has total input here. God,
I've had my mask on.
there you go. Where you, the viewers, will try to answer each and every one of your comments. Mitchell, you've got that rolling as well, right? You'll have the comments up right here. Again, welcome into a Saturday night show. Going to have a great show tonight. Again, Mr. Dave Holland producing. We got Mr. Michael Heater out on Engine 20 tonight. He's out there answering and helping on the call. He's our director. We've got Mr. Mitchell Gunner right here, one of my co-hosts. I'm your host, Mr. David Rodgers. Again, welcome in, guys, and thank you for tuning in to On the Spot. So, Mitchell, I'm going to go ahead and go over to you before we get to Mr. Milner. Sure. What do you have for us as far as any local news or anything going on in the midst of this COVID-19 virus that we're all dealing with? Well, I know there's some other news as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, we can start off with the COVID-19 real quick. As of 6 o'clock this afternoon, the state of Florida has 25,492 cases. Alachua County has 205, 0 deaths. Bradford County is now up to 42 and 2 deaths. Clay County 223 and 9 deaths. Columbia County 36, 0 deaths. Duval 835 and 15 deaths. Putnam County 55 and 1 death. And St. Johns County, 188 cases and 4 deaths.
Wow.
So it was like a little bit of a drop, and now we're kind of got a little bit of a little rebound. And we're going to see that from time to time, and hopefully those numbers will just, keep on lowering little by little, and so we can get back to normalcy. Because right now, it's weird not having sports on TV.
Yes, it is. It's weird
not
not
watching reruns.
We're not having concerts, sports,
right?
Just the regular everyday things that we do in life, that we take for granted quite a bit, is not happening right now. And hopefully this is going to come back at some point. None of us know when exactly that will be. I know that the administration, our national administration, the president and his staff is working on trying to get things back nationally. Governors of their states are trying to work on trying to get things back. And even our local officials here are trying to get things back to some kind of normalcy as well.
Well, and I kind of like what the president's doing. He's letting the governors decide when they should open up their state and what stipulations that need to be put in place. Because we know, even though that everybody might get back to work, we're still probably going to have to exercise that 6 foot of caution. Probably limited people in restaurants, limited people still in your stores. And so it's probably going to be the new normal. I would say hopefully it won't last after the end of May.
Right.
Hopefully we can get on the other side of that curve and start really getting back to normal. I know I want to get back to normal because I want the Gator Nationals to come back in June.
Of course.
Since I've already got all those tickets sitting up on the shelf at the house, probably now collecting dust. But yeah, I'm ready for it to get back to normal. Right. And talking about COVID-19, go ahead and let you know, Ron DeSantis today, he announced that all schools in Florida will continue doing their work from home. They will not be returning back to school. I know St. Johns County, as far as graduation, they're going to do it on Zoom. Duval is talking about holding back until July. And, of course, I'll try to find out from our superintendent what are the plans. And I know she wants to still have a graduation ceremony for those kids.
And a prom as well.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct. So, Go ahead and get into something else. I know one of these areas has been prone to traffic accidents in the past. I reached out to FDOT probably about 6 or 7 months ago, and they did do a survey analysis of that area. I was asking for the speed limit to be dropped from 60 to 45 miles an hour. But after their analysis was done, majority of those accidents was rear ends at that stop sign. So not so much on State Road 100 itself. But you know what? I want to get into another reason why things might change in that intersection. Of course, we're going to have a lot of construction going on at the Keystone Airport. They have received $1.19 million for construction, and that money will go to future economic development. And also, with them doing that with the new road, they're going to have turn lanes off of State Road 100. So with that in play, they may at that time will have to drop that speed limit down.
Right.
That's what I'm hoping, because that whole area is very prone to traffic accidents from 109 all the way into Keystone Heights and around that curve. So maybe some of those issues will be taken care of when they add the egress and there right there for the new road into Keystone Heights Airport. Also, I wanted to touch on, while we're talking about money,
Right.
I want to talk about some of the money that Bradford County is receiving, and one of those is the new school for Southside Elementary. They're looking around at $13.2 million for the new school, and that school is going to be located right there at 144th and 301. You can drive by there right now, and you can look behind the bank and see that whole area is pretty much cleared off. The companies and the architect that's been working with the school since they was awarded was Paul Stressing. He's the architect, and the contractor that was awarded the project went to, let me think of his name, Alsley Construction. So, and he actually won that bid back in 2007.
Right.
So we basically have been waiting on them monies to be allocated for that school. And I know a lot of people said in the past, well, you know, Southside's in bad shape. Why don't they do something about it? Well, why do you want to dump thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars into a school that you're eventually going to replace?
Right.
You know, in a couple of years.
Right.
So they have actually been patching and trying to keep up with things there, but that's the reason why they haven't dumped a whole lot of money in it, because they know this is going to be the future
Right.
for Southside Elementary. Also, to get into some money, the county government is going to be allocated $850,000 for a new fire station. Gordon Smith said the funding will be actually used to improve the building onto the volunteer fire station in Hilburn Springs by adding living quarters for a paid fireman.
Right.
Something that is much needed. And you know, by having those firemen living there full time is going to help with coverage.
Right.
Not only just for Bradford County's area, but they can actually use those services to provide for the prison if something goes wrong.
Right.
But again, all that will have to be decided by the county commissioners. Do you know when that might happen, Sheriff?
We're still waiting to hear.
Still waiting to hear?
This whole COVID thing's got everything.
Got everything stirred up, yes, sir.
Right.
So, but anyway, that's going to go on to the county commissioners, and they'll have to make the overall decision. And I think they're going to do the right thing because we really need these places for our firemen. They
Right.
really need all the equipment and living quarters. Also, the Bradford County Fairgrounds is going to receive $500,000 to be allocated to keep on replacing the buildings out there, and also $400,000 will be awarded to concerned citizens to renovate the RJE building, which is their gymnasium. I know they've had a lot of problems with air conditioners not
Right.
working. I think they've got a leak in the roof.
They do.
So this has been a long time coming that they need that for their area to provide a safe place for kids to go play, you
Right.
know, and have a good time, and keep them off the streets. So, but that's about pretty much what I've got tonight.
That's
but,
a great report.
You know, one thing you was talking about, Mr. Milner works for the pantry.
Right.
One thing that we can do here on the spot to help out is every time one of our phones are left on and it rings, we can find ourselves $10. And that $10 will go to the food pantry. Not unless you
Call
want
Mitchell,
to.
Sheriff.
Not
Yeah.
unless you want to.
Yeah, call him right now. Call me too while you're at it, Sheriff.
But we could use that as a little bit of a fundraiser to, or we can make it even higher.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny that you say that, Mitchell, because you know, and I'll introduce Bob here in just a second to all our viewing audience. But there was a couple of things that we wanted to do to help out the food
Right.
pantry before all this went down, and I'll talk with Bob about that as soon as we get him introduced and properly introduced to the show. But first of all, I want to say thank you for that great report that you've given, and I know everybody out there, ladies and gentlemen, believe you me, we're all worried about the COVID-19 virus, just like anybody else is in this county that we live in this state that we live in, the nation that we live in the world that we live in. Believe you me, but there's other news. There's other things that are still going on that we're still in work on, and hopefully these things that you said will help us get back to some kind of normalcy.
Well,
you know, at some point.
Would you mention the first responders?
Yes.
Go ahead and let everybody know. Now, if you have an emergency at home and you call 911 for help, they're going to ask you a panel of questions. Please don't get aggravated with the staff. Go through the questions, answer them to the best of your knowledge, or answer for someone who cannot speak to the best of your knowledge. And also, when those first responders turn up at your house to give you help, they're going to go back through those questions again.
Right.
So be patient with them because they're actually trying to protect themselves as well and give you great service at the same time. So, and I want to thank our first responders that put their lives into line every day of the week to keep us safe.
24 hours a day,
That's
7
it.
days a week, 365 days a year. And I've always said, and of course, I live in Bradford County. I love this place, and I'm not going anywhere. And I can tell you right now, I think that we have one of the finest EOC departments, sheriff's departments, and police departments, and EMS around. I'd put them up against anybody. Wouldn't you, Bob?
Yes, sir.
There's no doubt about that. So I want to thank Ralph Thornton, Austin Stevens, Jason Vaught, Sarge, Archie Waters, Marie, Melissa Delk, Carlton Jones, Charles Zipper, Kevin Howe, for tuning in tonight. Tara, thank you for tuning in tonight. We're going to get to your comments here in just a minute. Somebody asked me if the burn ban is still on.
Yes,
it is still on right now for Bradford County, right, Sheriff? And we'll talk about that.
Talk about that short.
Yeah, and we sure will. So, Carlton, we'll get into that here a little bit. Rethink about the beaches. Archie wants to know if we should rethink about the beaches opening, or should we remain? Should they remain closed? Now, that's up to opinion. And of course, you know, here on this show, we like to give our opinion, but we like to hear what you've got to say as well. Mitchell, I'll let you entertain that question.
Actually, I was really surprised at the turnout that they had at Jacksonville Beach when they reopened it. It was pretty crowded, and
Yeah.
but you know they have officers on patrol. They're on 4-wheelers. They're making sure people's keeping that 6 foot. Again, you can go to the beach. You can use it for exercise. You can walk. You can run. You can swim, but you cannot take a towel and lay out on the beach and socialize. So it's more for exercise purposes at this point in time. And I tell you, I think they're going to keep a good eye on it. And, you know, one thing that's going to determine if we done it too quick is you'll start seeing those positive cases start to rise up real quick.
Right.
And guess what's going to happen? The
Yep.
beach is going to be closed
Closed
right
again.
back off.
Yeah.
So now we know what we have to watch for
Right.
Before we did not. So we can actually see those signs, and I think we can act a whole lot more swiftly than what we did in the beginning of this thing.
Right. Tara has got one question. She says, Southwest County Road 225 is getting very bad. It pulls you towards the ditch on both sides. What do we know about that? I'm trying to remember. Y'all know anything on that issue there?
225.
On 225?
I'll tell you what, I'll drive it.
Well, I drive it, and that's the thing. I don't go to the southwest side because I live on the northwest
Right.
side. But I can definitely drive it too and see. I think she's more talking over there probably, toward Brownlee Road? That way there, Sheriff, you think?
That's northwest.
Yeah.
Southwest is Sampson City.
Sampson City. Okay, on the other side. So,
I'm writing that down, we'll give it to the road department, superintendent, look at it.
all right, and you heard the sheriff right there, and Bob. We're going to write that down, and we're going to give it a road department and take a look at that. Let's see here. Tell whoever was burning on 27th Ave and 225 here in Lottie, that was burning around 5 p.m. Bart, we'll definitely tell them, that's for sure. Yeah, there should not be any kind of burning what's going on. Just because we got this rain right now doesn't mean that the burn ban has been lifted. And, of course, Sheriff will get into that as we bring him on.
And I tell you, the deputies, they're riding around. They see smoke in your yard. They're going to pull into your driveway, and they're going to come to your door and say, hey, why are you burning? Put it out, or you can get a ticket. It's your choice.
Right.
And you know what they're going to do? You're going to put it out.
You're going to, right. I talked to someone that's been studying health for a long time. They said the sun and the salt from the ocean will and definitely kill the virus. I'm not an expert, a doctor expert on that, and I don't even know if I'd want to answer that question, but just some of the stuff that I've been reading, I'm not sure that's the answer, is it? I know it's not the cure-all, I can tell you that. So,
Well, I will tell you this. You know, they say the sunlight will kill it,
right.
but how come people still getting off the items that they touch?
Well, that's right. And then, yes. All right. And you were right, Sheriff and Bob, turning off 227 towards Sampson City, towards the Church of God out there, is what she was talking about, Sheriff.
Okay, I just wrote it down to make sure we notify the road superintendent.
Okay. Thank you, Tara. We really appreciate those comments. Again, you're tuning in to On the Spot with David Rodgers. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Mr. David Rodgers, producer, Mr. Dave Holland, director, Mr. Michael Heater. Over to my right is Mr. Mitchell Gunner, who just gave his local report. Sitting in for Mr. Bagwell right now at this point is Mr. Bob Milner, and we'll get into him here in just a second. And we've also got Sheriff Gordon Smith that's going to join us on the show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Ask any question that you want, any question that's on your mind, anything that you have on your mind, please make sure that you ask it. Mitchell, anything else that you got?
Just remind everybody, you know, you can still get your school breakfast. I think it's from 9 to 11.
Correct.
And you can pick that at any one of your elementary schools on Monday and Thursday. So, and please do so. We want to try to get as much lunches out as possible. That way we can continue getting grant money for our school so no child has to pay for lunch. So if numbers drop down too low, hey, our school system could lose that funding. And it's very important. If you can make it there, take your kids. They have to be present in the vehicle. But please do it.
There you go. Thank you very much. All right, getting on to our guest right here. To my left right here, I want to welcome in retired sheriff, retired county manager, and vice president of the Bradford County Food Pantry. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in Mr. Bob Milner. Bob, say hello to everybody.
Hello, viewers. Thank you very much, David and Mitchell. Glad to join you tonight.
No problem.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you. Just before we get into some questions and some things that were brought up to us, tell everybody a little bit about yourself that doesn't know you and your background.
I have been living in Bradford County since 1969. A lot of people
Wow.
don't know that. Came here
Okay.
just before my junior year of high school.
Okay.
Spent the last 2 years. So over 50 years. Born and raised in North Florida the whole time. Madison County, Tallahassee before here.
Okay.
I had 5 brothers. My mother was an overachiever. And she still is at 92 years of age, living
Wow.
in one of the
Wow, she's
living in one of the nursing homes here. So our thoughts and prayers
Prayers,
are there.
yes.
I had me as a visitor for 5 weeks or so, but
Right.
So I love it. Carol and I could go anywhere, and I had opportunities professionally, even prior to being sheriff and all,
Right.
with the state to move throughout the state and take promotions. And praise God I didn't. I'm glad we stayed here. We love to travel, but come home to Bradford County.
Well,
Glad you stayed too.
yeah, and Sheriff, I like to call you Sheriff because I like to call the other guy Sheriff. Once a sheriff, always a sheriff, right?
There you
That's exactly right. And I know that you've done a lot of great things for our community. I go to a lot of events with you, and we intertwine in several things. And a lot of people know what kind of great work you do, and you have done, and you're continuing to do. And here's one already that we're involved in is you're the vice president of Bradford County Food Pantry. And before we get into that a little bit, I don't know how often you tune into the show, probably when you can. We, like I said, shows on Tuesday and Saturday nights. But before the COVID-19 virus came down, we were actually going to do a college March Madness bracket for the men and the women's side. We was going to, you could get a bracket for $10. So you could get as many brackets as you wanted. You can enter as many times as you wanted. And we were going to take that money, and half of the proceeds we were going to give to the Bradford County Food Pantry before all this came down.
Yeah.
Of course, no March Madness now for the men or women. No sports really at this point. And so that sort of squabashed our idea. And then I ran into a young lady, and we'll talk about this over at the Circle K the other day, and she was telling me about them feeding America as well. So we'll get into that a little bit. But just some questions from some of our viewers here. Number one is most recent events, activities during the coronavirus shutdown. What have you guys been doing as far as the Bradford County Food Pantry goes?
Well, I'll tell you, David, like everywhere else, there have been transformational changes in the last month at the food pantry. We have no choice. In the current time of major distress to not only our nation and this community in particular, there are more people dependent right now on the Bradford Food Bank, from Bradford Food Pantry, excuse me, and our fellow food partner banks, that's what I was going to say, than ever before.
Right.
The need is incredible. Sheriff Smith's been there the last couple of Fridays with us handing out. And honestly, the need for the food is a real threat to the health of a lot of our senior citizens and our what we call underserved population, irrespective of age, both individuals and families. Mitchell mentioned a moment ago, and I believe Tuesday night on your show, about the school.
Right.
Because we're one of those counties, unfortunately, the poverty level is such that the school system is able to feed all of the kids.
Correct.
My kudos, along with you, Mitchell, to the superintendent, the administration, and the school board for ensuring that as soon as possible they were able to ramp up that to be able to continue feeding the kids, because many of those children, that is their majority of the meal.
That is
Right.
correct.
And the school board's putting this out. Everybody understands
Right.
that. But it's the truth. And we see that same thing at the food pantry. So the last month has been totally different than what we've ever done. In terms of being open Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 1 to 4 p.m., we had to shift that to just Friday, 1 to 4. But we start ramping up all week long to get ready for it, because we have to have that much food. In each of the last 3 weeks, we have given out just over 10,000 pounds of food
Wow.
10,000 pounds.
in a day.
Grief, in one day.
We have fed right at 200 families each of the last 3 Fridays. And what we had to change strategically was, instead of allowing the people to come in, the clients to walk in Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on those days, we are only open on Friday, but they all line up in their cars. Well, the word got out, and it's a good thing.
Right.
We would begin serving at 1 o'clock and distributing the food. You don't have to get out of your vehicle. All you do, under the direction of Sergeant Joe Schiller or the staff working for Sheriff Smith, they move them up, keep them in line.
Right.
They start lining up at 10:30 in the morning at the Bradford County Fairgrounds parking lot. 10:30. And by noon, we have roughly 150 vehicles. We also have scooters,
Right.
Right.
wheelchairs,
Yep.
bicycles.
Seen those. Bicycles.
We have people walk up that are living at, some of the places temporarily,
Right.
wherever they can find.
Right.
And they literally bring a suitcase on wheels You know, and all we're doing is we ask their name and which
Right.
county they live in, Bradford or Union, because we serve both.
Right.
Right.
I'm glad you said that. Yeah, somebody asked
We
that
don't
question.
currently get, unfortunately, we're not receiving contributions from the churches and all over the Union yet. We're working on that.
Right.
But we still service the people over there. We told USDA and them a while back, some of our providers of the food, that we were going to serve both counties, and we're doing it.
Right.
So, but anyway, it has been transformational just seeing what we've had to do to be able to feed the people over the last month.
And I tell you, right now, a lot of people's depending on that food, especially with all the people that's laid off,
Right.
that works at restaurants and stuff. The state's having a hard time keeping up with all the getting the unemployment checks out to everyone. So
Right.
Yeah.
what do you do? And even if they do get an unemployment check, that unemployment check is trying to pay their mortgage and their lights.
Right.
$275.
So-
Yeah, 275. 275 is not very much, and I think the government's putting in another 6 on top of it
Whenever you get it.
whenever you get it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And but still, that's still not a whole lot of money. Not when you got to pay your light bill,
Right.
you got to pay your mortgage, your car payment.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then you got to have food. So I commend you and all the volunteers down there doing what y'all do to provide a service of getting food to people who need it.
Well, the only way, David mentioned, the only way we could feed those folks the last few weeks, and this goes back years as we've been feeding over 100 families every week for many years, is because of two groups. One is the volunteers that you
That's
just
right.
mentioned.
Right.
The Bradford Food Pantry, which used to be the Bradford Ecumenical Ministries since 1989.
Right.
When Colonel Orley McRae, retired Air Force, and others started it. Most of whom have passed on, unfortunately, but did their thousands of hours of service. And we changed it last year officially with the state and IRS to Bradford Food Pantry. I think it was hard to write on your check, Bradford Ecumenical Ministries.
Yeah.
it's a little long.
Exactly. Yeah, sort of long.
Ecumenical.
Yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah.
a lot of syllables in this
Yeah,
word.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So, but anyway, the two groups are volunteers who work all week long getting ready for Friday, and then those that work on Friday,
Right.
and our donors. Were it not for those that give us food, and quite frankly, more importantly right now, donations, finance. It may be $3 to $5,000 a month is what we get in cash from
Right.
people by checks. But we're then able to take that because of the great people that we have there, but most notably, Gerald Moody, Director of Food Services, and Betty Warren, Director of all the volunteers, and neither of those titles do service to anything.
Right.
Those
Right.
two individuals have literally kept the pantry going through
Going.
the years with volunteers, but Gerald and Betty work basically full-time at the pantry, literally,
Right.
for free. But anyway, the donors bring us food, the churches bring us food, or normally they deliver it maybe the first week. It depends on the churches that participate's different.
Right.
But the point is, right now, we can do so much more with money because we know what we need. It may be
Right.
children's stuff, peanut butter, cereal, spaghetti sauce,
Right.
which we give to the children's, the
Right.
families that have children versus one that's just a single adult, for example. They get different boxes.
Right.
Right.
But the past 3 weeks have been unbelievable. And yesterday on Friday, we gave 2 boxes of food, total of probably on average of 40 pounds in the 2 boxes, with pastries and spaghetti and rice and all the rest of the stuff. But we also gave out bags of oranges, bananas, apples, 5-pound bags of potatoes, half-gallon of concentrate orange juice. All of that went into each box or each family,
Wow.
excuse me,
Right.
in addition to the stuff that was already in there.
Man, you're talking about the food groups, man. You hit it all right there, don't you? You hit all. Remember when we was going to school? The 5 basic food groups,
That's
right?
basic.
5 basic food groups.
Do you have enough room there for what you're doing?
We do now. A quick story on that, Mr. Holland, is 3 years ago, excuse me, in 2017, we moved from a little tiny house, praise God, that had been
Yep.
donated on West Andrew Street
Street.
across from Powell's Dairy Freeze, into the pantry. And into 226 North Temple Avenue, the south part of the fairgrounds, next to the old State Farmers Market. Some of us old timers knew it as.
Right.
But anyway, that building is actually owned by the State of Florida Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services that we're in.
Right.
As is the docking building next door. That
Right.
used to be the trucking and the farmers market and so forth. Senator Rob Bradley, Representative Bobby Payne were incredibly
Instrumental.
great at helping us get that through the Department of Agriculture, which we did. So the front part, all that served as Gold Key Western. Y'all may remember.
Yep, my old gold
Yep.
key.
John
Yep.
Smith was
Don-
proprietor.
Yes.
And by the way, he and his wife Wanda, retired professional educator, are volunteers with the pantry.
Wow, okay.
So John and him ran that for many years. That building was actually built elsewhere and moved onto that grounds. People don't realize that. About 60 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a small building in terms of the office and the part there that we use normally Monday through Friday, but we can't do that right now.
No, you can't.
But to answer Dave's question, were it not for the warehouse that's on the back of that, where John and them kept their feed and all
Right.
that, of course, we couldn't exist. We have to have that. For example, USDA calls, Feeding Northeast Florida, some of the others that we get our food from, predominantly from. Donors are great, but there's no way we could be open and exist on what people bring us from the churches.
Right.
I just told you, we're giving 10,000
1,000 pounds. Yeah.
That sounds like a whole.
It's a lot of food. It's
Yeah.
a lot of food. But anyway, it takes a lot of coordination, which is where Gerald comes in.
Right.
Along with, Betty has one of our new volunteers, Miss Sherry, and she is fantastic. She has organizational skills like a supply sergeant. I call her a squad boss.
There you go.
But anyway, when you're dealing with thousands of pounds of food on these pallets and we're having to move them around all the time, and you got to have spaghetti here and so forth,
Right.
it can be a logistical nightmare. But because of the skills of the volunteers, many of whom are retired, most of them, quite frankly, and they bring to the table incredible skill sets from the various occupations they've held through the years.
Right.
And a lot of that has to do with how we're able to move the stuff like we are and be ready for it. But it is a true team effort.
That is
of
awesome.
Volunteers. So everybody that works at the food pantry, they work for free for the people.
I want to get into hours of operations. You said that right now. I know generally if this all was good and everything was back to normal, be Monday through Friday with an
It would be
occasional
Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 1 to 4.
Right.
But yeah,
now,
right now it is 1 to 4.
Right.
We're usually through more or less about 3 o'clock, 2:33
Okay.
on Friday.
It doesn't take long to move it, does it?
No, I've got video here I could give to Dave to upload to show you when Sheriff Smith and I have been there the last few weeks.
Right.
And I'm serious. They got 150 vehicles out there by noon.
Yeah.
So the deputies and explorers. That's
yes.
who actually checked them in, Dave.
Yes, explorers.
Great job.
Great job.
Plus, we need those young backs lifting those cases of food.
Yeah, I was just going. Yeah, you ain't kidding.
Longer we get, the smarter we get.
That's
That's
it.
it.
All right. Again, welcome into On the Spot with David Rodgers. Special guest, Mr. Bob Milner, Vice President of Bradford County Food Pantry. Got another question for you, Bob, if you don't mind. Where does the food pantry get most of its food from?
It's a good question. We do actually purchase the majority of it from Feeding Northeast Florida and other organizations that you'll also see through the news channels, the Bread of the Mighty from Jacksonville, Orange Park. But, and I'm glad you asked that because every week, the food pantry makes a run down to our local Winn-Dixie, Save-A-Lot, and Walmart.
Okay.
Great.
And all three of those give us pastries, meat, some other things. Now, their expiration date for their ability to sell it is being reached.
Right.
However, from a health perspective, there's nothing wrong with the food.
Correct.
It's very edible for
Right.
periods of time, and a lot of it you can freeze,
Right.
which is exactly what we have to do at the food pantry.
Right.
So overwhelmingly, we have to purchase that, David, and that's the reason I said earlier that, and we very, very much appreciate everybody that brings 3 cans or they go to wherever and they get their BOGOs.
Right.
Don't blame them.
Right.
It's great. The problem is everybody has their BOGOs at the same time.
Yeah,
So
they do.
Everybody brings us corn,
Yep.
or spinach, or green peas, or green beans, or whatever it is.
Right.
And what they don't know is one of our providers, such as USDA, where you don't buy it. That's
Right.
given to you for the most part.
That's right.
Okay? They may call on Monday and say, we're bringing you 20 cases of spinach. Cases. This is not
Right.
fresh. This is canned spinach. So they're fixing to bring you 1,000 cans of spinach.
Right.
Well, with all due respect, I don't need our local loving people to bring us spinach.
Right.
But they don't know that.
They don't
It's not
know.
their fault.
Right.
Or corn,
Right.
or beans, or peas, or whatever. Fill in the blank.
Right. But and again, you're not turning any of that down.
No.
See, and that's exactly right. I want you to understand, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bob Miller, just because he's got 1,000 cans of spinach,
Right.
doesn't mean he won't take 1,001 cans.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because you can always go ahead and give out the fresh stuff
Correct.
first.
Correct.
And then fall back on the cans at a later date.
Right.
Exactly.
All right. I know you got into this a little bit when you was telling the story about the Bradford County Food Pantry. How long has the Bradford County Food Pantry been serving our area?
Good question, Dave. We started again, not me.
Right.
I don't want to take credit for anything. Around 1989, very small group, and literally started with a few churches.
Right.
That agreed to participate, not by any specific amount, just said, yeah, we'll help out.
Right.
The need was becoming obvious amongst citizens, and again, I mentioned retired Colonel Arlie McRae and others, and that evolved over the next 20 plus years and grew just phenomenal.
Right.
Well, the unfortunate thing after the 2008 letdown of the economy and so forth, it was an even greater need.
Right.
And so some more people fortunately stepped up in terms of volunteers. And we got a little more organized sometime around 2010 and 2012 with our board of directors and made sure that everything was on the up and up with the IRS for 501c3.
Right.
So that people who do donate financially to us unequivocally have a tax
Write-off.
donation.
Right.
And in fact, our treasurer, which happens to be Miss Carol Milner,
I know her.
She sends
Nice
every
lady.
one of those donors.
She is a great lady.
She's a great lady. Oh my gosh.
Hey, like some other guys sitting here, I overmarried.
Yeah. There you go.
There you go, Dave.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, me too. I got you. Go ahead. Go ahead,
David.
Go ahead, Dave.
I gotta extend a very, very much appreciative thank you to you and the food pantry. A friend of mine got quarantined, can't get away from the house. Sent me a picture of driver's license and her card, which really didn't need it.
Right.
Knew what
No.
I was there for, and filled me up. I took it to her, saved her, and the following week it happened again, and then eventually she got out and made a trip there and doing well.
Good.
So she wanted me to say thank you.
Two things. I appreciate that, David. We have had people, David, that have been served by the food pantry in their time of need.
Right.
And then later on, when they weren't in as bad a time of need, or maybe they got reemployed and so forth, who are volunteering now because of what they were able to see that it did for them.
Right.
Right.
That's
They
great.
believe it. Number two, back to what David's talking about, I wish we could deliver. We don't have any kind of delivery service. However, the last couple of weeks, several of us, and I have to throw the sheriff's office in there,
Right.
because it's Sheriff Smith's employees.
Right.
We take our personal vehicles, and when we are aware of a situation like you're talking about, Dave, where the person absolutely qualifies by any stretch of the imagination for receiving assistance, and they can't, or those that do come up again in a wheelchair, in a scooter, or whatever it is.
Right.
We find out where do you live? Tell me. Okay, when we get through with this drive, we'll bring it to you.
Right.
And I can honestly tell you that there's a number of people there at the pantry that are doing that.
I
It
see
says-
Archie Waters over there in line. on-
Archie, as a matter of fact, is on, and he said, "Thank you very much." And I'm glad that you
We
asked
know
that
him as
question.
Tiny.
Yes, we do know him as Tiny. In the wrestling world, we do. Yeah, we know him as Tiny.
Yesterday, I asked my friend, "Did you make it to the food pantry?" And you know what she said? Said, "I don't need it. I'd rather give it to somebody else that needs it more."
Another quick point. Thank you for
Yes.
that, David.
Yes.
We are
Good.
asking, Dave Mitchell, David,
Yeah.
we are asking those that have been served like yesterday, on Friday, April
April
18th, 19th, whatever. it was.
Yeah, whatever it was.
If at all possible, wait till the week after next. Come every other week.
Right,
Because
give
we
somebody
gave out
else a
2
turn.
boxes yesterday and all the other accoutrements I just mentioned while ago.
Right.
So we have other people that need to be served.
Gotcha.
And we do not have an unlimited amount. I mentioned to you how fortunate we were that USDA, these other organizations, we've been able to purchase,
Right.
or they brought, but we don't have enough for 400 every Friday. We just
Right.
don't.
Right.
So if you have been, at least this past Friday, and maybe the Friday before that, if you can get by,
Right.
and they can come by and get pastries anytime that we're open. For
Sure.
example, I mentioned the 3,
Right.
Winn-Dixie,
Winn-
Walmart, Save-A-Lot
mhm.
here. We also go to Bread of the Mighty in Orange Park and some others. So we get a lot of pastry items. We tend to get produce, and that's got to go.
Sure.
We're refrigerated,
Right.
but it's got to
Sure.
go. We can't sit for a week or
Right.
two. So we will help people out, even though they
Yeah,
say,
you
well, I
will.
came last Friday, but can I just get, whatever we're at? Absolutely. Because we
Great.
want to get rid of it. When I say that in a
Right.
good way, it doesn't need to sit there.
And I'm glad you brought that up. Let's just say that I can take off early on a Friday. I can come down there. I don't have to be a member, and I know we're going to ask that question in a minute. But let's just say, man, I want to come down there and help the Bradford County Food Pantry.
Right.
And you say right now you don't have a delivery service, but Bob, I know Miss Betty Jo over here in Sampson City, she can't get here to get her food. But you know what? David Rodgers would love to put that food in his car and take it over to Miss Betty Jo. Can we do that?
Yep, as long as they get in touch with us, we're able to just know who the person is, where they are, how many children in the family, those
Right.
kind of things. Now, in normal times, and right now nothing's normal,
Right, nothing.
because of certain organizations that supply our food,
Right.
we do have to simply get the name and address and verify
Right.
their income by way of either unemployment or something else. It's
Right.
proprietary otherwise.
Right.
Nobody else gets this information.
Right.
But it has to go back to the entity that's furnishing the food.
Right.
They have 5 kids,
Right.
2 kids.
2 kids.
So, and quite frankly, that's intended to prevent fraud.
What's that number?
People who do not need that, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
We just don't need to do that.
And while you're looking up that number, and I'm glad Dave asked that because I was going to ask that question as well, talk about the needs of the families and the response of the food pantry over the last month, what you did during this crisis. Just hit a little bit over it again.
Yeah, I'm sorry, David. That's the food pantry number. We'll go over that. I had people texting me like they're doing you while we're live.
Yeah,
I said,
while you're live,
I
and
can't
that's
answer, David. And that's too much multitasking going on.
No,
here.
the only person I can do that is Sheriff over there. Yeah, you know.
But like I say, in normal times, things run pretty smooth. The volunteers, when we need them, David, and when you mentioned that, like if you were contacting us on behalf of somebody else because you're going to deliver it, okay? We do prefer that be done on the days that we're down there.
Okay.
Like normally Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Right now it's probably Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Right.
But they can call our food pantry number, 964-3984. 964-3984. Probably have to leave a message because quite frankly we don't answer it most of the time.
Right.
We're just too busy.
You're busy.
Right.
But and a lot of times the question is, when are you open?
Yeah,
You know, so we try to get a voicemail on there
Right.
for that. Now, quite frankly, I'm in the book, believe it or not. People say, why in the world would Sheriff? They say, why would a former sheriff keep your phone number in a phone book?
That's a good question.
I say, well, Stevie Wonder could find me in Stark. I mean, you
can't hide.
You can't hide.
Now, with that number that you provided, they can also call that same number if they want to donate money
Yes.
or food.
That's
So-
the second part of it, Mitchell, and thank you for that. They can contact me. I'd be glad to put my email out there with you,
Right.
David, on that.
That'll be great. We'll put it out there on the site.
Miss Betty, but any of us, and we will arrange that.
That sounds
Okay.
great. Who makes up the membership of the Bradford County Food Pantry?
Good question. Our current organization, the president is Brother Ron Kimbrell,
Right.
who happens to be the director of missions for the New River Baptist Association, made up of a group of churches, of Baptist churches in Florida and Southern Baptist Convention, and predominantly in Bradford County, but a little bit in surrounding areas as well. Ron's the president. I'm the vice president.
Right.
As I said, Wanda Smith, retired educator, is
Yep.
the secretary, and my wife Carol is the treasurer. And then Gerald Moody is the food service coordinator, and Betty is a volunteer. And again, those titles do not begin to touch what Gerald and Betty do full.
Yeah, I was
because we
just
have to
like- yeah.
report everything, which Betty does all the statistics.
Right.
We have to report how much food. So every time somebody brings in food, we weigh it.
Right.
We weigh it.
Sure.
It came from a citizen, and it doesn't have to be your name, but although you get a receipt for it or
Right.
contribution receipt. But anyway, so whoever the supplying entity is of the food, it is weighed and then put over where it's going and so forth. So that's how we know exactly how many pounds. When I say 10,000 pounds, that's
Right.
not just a guess. It's within a few pounds
Wow.
of 10,000 pounds
That's
that we
a
had
good,
in those
accurate
boxes
number.
there. Okay, so that's the 4 officers and 2 directors. However, each church that is an active member of the Bradford Food Pantry right now has a representative on the board as well, and we meet once a year, and those churches have been sustaining. And so I'm going to tell you real quick, since you got your listening audience
Right.
on the spot there, Dave.
Thank
that First Baptist Stark, Madison Street Baptist, Hilburn Springs Baptist, Kingsley Lake, First United Methodist of Stark, Grace United Methodist of Lawdy, First Presbyterian of Stark, First Christian of Stark, St. Mark's Episcopal, Life Spring of Stark, and Praise Christian Assembly of Graham are ongoing sustaining members that have a vote once a year when we elect our officers or change policies and all. We'll receive input from anybody.
Right.
But those folks, and we love, obviously, donations from any church, any group, any person. I could go down Kiwanis, Rotary, the Explorers.
Right.
There have been so many other groups that, as a group, you mentioned the ability to, you hope, raise some funds on the March Madness thing.
Right.
Maybe we ought to do it on when you think we'll open up.
Well, we thought about
That's a
that.
good one. That's a good
Well,
one.
you know what?
Hey.
We did think about that, and I was going to do something like that because, like I said, you know, it was just an idea that I had about, you know, if we do this, who could we give the, you know, who could we give the money to?
Right.
There's a lot of great organizations here,
absolutely.
Bob, in Bradford
Yep.
County. Sheriff knows that.
Yep.
And as we started throwing it out, I just said, what about the food pantry? The food pantry touches me here for whatever. You know, people, my opinion only, Bob, and y'all can weigh in and chime in on this. I think that there's enough food, especially in the United States of America, to feed every man, woman, and child for the next 30 years.
Yep.
There should
You're
not
right.
be anybody
Yeah.
that does not have a meal each and every night, Bob. I'm telling you. Do you agree with that sentiment?
I do, absolutely.
So that this organization touches near and dear to my heart, and we're going to do something. I can promise you that.
Let me mention one other, if I
Okay.
may. So I
Yeah.
interrupted the host.
No, absolutely.
You got to be a real man to interrupt. The
Yeah,
host.
that's exactly right.
I'm cutting him off
Byron's
all the
a-
time.
Sitting in the right
You're
seat.
sitting in the right seat because Byron Bagwell does it every week. Every show. I love
One
Byron.
other group I've got to mention, David.
Yes.
For over, probably 15 years, but the last few years in particular, we have had one local organization that has enabled us to receive thousands of cases of frozen chicken and other meats every year. Thousands of cases. I know because we have to unload them. Now, Tyson Foods are one of the other big poultry folks.
Right.
Right.
Supply them. They donate them, but they have to get it to Stark. Well, Davis Express from right here in
Are
Stark.
you serious?
So,
Oh man, Davis Express.
Big thank you out to Jimmy Davis.
Jimmy Davis.
and
Thank
the
you.
family.
if you see Jimmy or Doreen or Josh or Kayla or Ethan or any of those, and they're great drivers, man, they got.
Yes.
I see their drivers all over the South.
Yep.
They have some of the most professional, courteous drivers there anyway. But Jimmy and his staff bring these cases, sometimes 100 at a time or more, out to their headquarters here in Stark at their drop yard. And they call, we go out and pick it up. They even use the pallet jacks and
Right.
forklifts. They put it on our trailer. So then we just have to carry it back to the food pantry, take it out, and put it all in all that.
Right.
Could not do this without Davis Express incredible donation every year.
You know,
Okay.
that's a special town here, Bradford County.
Yep.
'Cause we all work together to help each other in this town.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that as
Proud
well.
to be here.
All right, if you're just now tuning in, we've got Mr. Bob Milner in here with us on the spot with David Rodgers. Thank you for joining us on a Saturday night, and hope each and every one of you are doing really well out there. Everything's going good. Please take this time to spend with your family. Please be safe. Please practice your social distancing as we're trying to do here right now. And we pray that everything gets back to some kind of normalcy here within the next little bit. Got one final question for you, Bob, and then I'll give you some final thoughts. What are the biggest needs of the Bradford County Food Pantry right now at this very moment?
Now that's the $1 million question. Fortunately, it doesn't cost $1 million.
Okay.
But no, thank you for asking that, Dave. Number
Yes,
one
sir.
need is for more volunteers, continued
Okay.
volunteers. Carol and I were walking the other night, and a lady down the street that many of you would know if I called her name, and she said, we've been traveling a lot. They were retired, and she said, but we're back home now, and she said, I need to get involved. She just brought it up herself. I said, told her the times, and she's going to become a part of it. If it's 2 hours a week, if it's 6 hours this week and none next week, that's okay.
Right.
We can use you. Just organize and moving the food and stuff. There's not a lot of heavy lifting for some folks that can.
Right.
But anyway, so number one is volunteers, so nobody gets burned out. We have plenty.
Well, I tell you, right now we got a bunch of students that might be working on volunteer hours.
We put that
So-
out, Mitchell, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
You got Boy Scouts.
Yep.
They also try to
Everybody
get
that
their hours
comes
up.
has to be masked up.
I was just going to say, I'm glad you said that.
We do require mask and gloves of everybody that's down there, just so you'll know. The second thing, obviously, David, is finance.
Right.
In that, not just feeding the people. We have been blessed by God, I believe that, to have,
I believe
to
so.
have that building. It's incredible. But I just mentioned, it is unfortunately about 70 years old.
Right.
And we have major electrical issues and flooring issues. So we've got a group of men who we believe from the churches collectively are going to hopefully take care of most of the floor issues. We got to replace the whole floor. That's the bottom line. After the crisis is kind of ended, we can work together. In the meantime, Jackson's talking about a great community.
Yes.
Jackson's Building Supply donated plywood CDX boards that we could cover everywhere right now until such time as we can replace the whole floors.
Did Billy Rayburn fill that order for you, by the way?
How'd you know that?
Good grief, because I'm going to tell you right now, Billy Rayburn is one of our great viewers, but I worry about him, Bob, because I wonder if he's off his meds sometimes.
Oh, I'm not going.
All right, don't go there.
That's HIPAA information.
That's true.
But so
he seems to answer it on the show, though.
Yeah. What we've got is a project that we've gotten three kind of rough bids on to replace electrical. What's happening is we have so many freezers and refrigerators, and we need a lot more.
Right.
Even when we buy new commercial ones that are much more efficient in terms of the amperage and volt, it's still way too much.
So y'all probably have the old R22 units in that old building, right?
Yeah.
So as a result, we're blowing circuits on a regular basis.
Right.
And of course, we can't create a fire hazard. That's obvious. And at the same time, we cannot allow that food. I just mentioned Davis Express bringing us hundreds of cases of chicken. We can't let it spoil.
That's right.
We've got to keep it cool, refrigerated, and so forth. So we don't have enough capacity to do that because of the electrical.
Right.
So the bids can looking around $10,000. So while we've gotten some electrical folks within and a great around Bradford County and the surrounding communities to say, I think I can do it for this, but they've got to make money. We're not asking any electrical.
No,
He has to
absolutely
be a
not.
certified electrical contractor and so forth.
Right.
But if we can get the money, so we're kind of stepping up right now, starting off with on the spot. This is our first time.
Right.
We're
There we
going to
go.
do a capital campaign for the Bradford Food Pantry. We need $10,000 to totally rewire and add additional circuits at the food pantry on 2226 North Temple Avenue in order to safely and effectively house enough food that we can give to the people who are underserved and needy in Bradford Union County. They need it. So we've got to replace all the electric. Anybody out there that feels like, don't take your money away from your church, your tithe. We're not asking you to do that.
No.
Okay. But, of course, the Bible talks about above and beyond.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Tithes and offerings.
Yeah, right.
Hey, maybe after all this is over, you got a great big parking lot right there.
Can we do a car show?
Oh, absolutely, we can.
Yeah.
We
Bring some
will
music out
absolutely do
there. We would love. We would
We
love
got
to
the
help
music
out.
covered.
Yeah, we got the music covered. We'd have the cars covered.
Just bring the cars.
We got the show covered. We can even do a show live from there.
I'm ready.
I'm ready too. As
We
soon as
just got
this
to
is
get
all
over this pandemic.
But that's our need, and I appreciate you asking, Dave. Any questions from your viewers before we let
Yes,
Sheriff Smith in?
absolutely. A lot of people, Bob, that you know are saying thank you very much for what you and your staff are doing. They say that it's sometimes it's probably underappreciated, and but they say thank you very much from the bottom of their hearts of what you're doing and your
that
staff.
goes straight from me to the volunteers. It's a team effort with all the volunteers. Make no mistake.
Got a question from Keystone Heights.
Good.
Got a lot of
Okay.
viewers. Somebody, Marie, one of our top fans, said, my friend down the street asked me yesterday if I know if Keystone Heights was passing out food. Do you know?
Oh, absolutely. Lake Area Ministries.
That's right.
LAM, L-A-M is the acronym or initials for it.
Mr. Harris.
Yeah,
that
they
he's
do
part
a
of that.
fantastic job. They've been around for a number of years, and they are extremely well organized. And we share with them; they share with us. So when someone calls, or we get a situation where you get many cases of produce, and there's just physically no way we can keep and refrigerate that much in a period of time where it's got to be distributed. We then call LAM.
Right.
Hear me? We also call Brother Ross Chandler,
Right.
True Vine Ministries,
True Vine.
who has one couple of other smaller food banks, but imported, that are only open one day a week or something. There's a few places I think that kind of only serve their own churches, but the ones that we deal with are like us. They give it to anybody that's in Bradford and Union County.
Right.
Okay. But yes, Lake Area Ministries.
Lake Area Ministries, ladies and
they have a
gentlemen.
website, so you can find them. They are
That's
very.
right there off of 20 on headed between Melrose.
21.
21.
Yeah, State Road 21.
Yep.
Yep.
Archie Waters, your friend Tiny, says, I praise Bob in the food pantry because if it wasn't for them, I would go hungry by the end of the month. Even though went up to max $194 a month, that doesn't last a month. I know, Bob, I don't even know if, I'm sure you probably want to answer that question, but I'll tell you this. I guarantee you, Tiny, between all your friends and everybody that you know, nobody's going hungry here in Bradford County. I can tell you that right now. Even if we have to shell it out of our pockets, nobody's going hungry. But
Right.
thank God for Bob and his staff at the Bradford County Food Pantry.
Very good. We've
So,
enjoyed it, Dave. Thank you for having us on.
absolutely. Just wanted to see you. I just didn't want to miss any questions. And if we do, we'll promise you we'll put it on the spot, on the spot page. And that's on the spot. Email us on the spot, 32091 at gmail.com, Bob. That's on the spot, 32091 at gmail.com. Let's see. Do y'all have face masks? I'd like to make some for the food pantry if you need them. That's from our viewer, Tara. She would love to help you out.
Thank you, Tara. We would love to have them. Matter of fact, we ran out of our store-bought, as they say, Friday. And a lot of the ladies down there, part of the challenge is some of the older folks, I'm only 67, so I can say that. But anyway, some of the more senior citizens, Dave, yeah, that's right. They have difficulty breathing through the mask, period. And matter of fact, a lot of you've seen it on the national news.
Yes.
If you have to watch it, that a lot of your medical personnel are stating, not the N95 so much, they have no choice.
Right.
Okay. But when the construction mask or what you and I buy at your local drugstore,
Right.
which is fine for most of us.
Right.
Here we are. Ta-da! Right? This one right here.
Right.
But a lot of the time, some of the material, depending what it is, some of the folks that already have maybe some breathing difficulties or asthma or something.
Right.
Speaking of our volunteers, as well as anyone out there in the public who has to wear a mask. So every person has to find a mask that works, number one, just enough to be able to keep all of the things from coming in on you and yours from going out. But if Tara wants to build that out of any of the cloths she's got,
Yep.
I'm sure she's seen on the internet, as many others have.
Right.
A lot of seamstresses, and in fact, we've got a lot of people becoming seamstresses that haven't done it in a long time.
I know it, isn't
They're
it?
dragging out the sewing machine.
Yes, they
You
are.
know what I mean?
Yes, they
Or
are.
our mom
Or
learned
used to do. Yep.
Or they're learning it.
So yes,
Right.
Tara, you get hold of us at the food pantry, or just give me a call and shoot me the email, bobmilner53@gmail.com. And we will make sure we get those from you. And thank you so much.
Bob, last thing, just real quick, give out that phone number again, give out the hours again, and give out the address again of where the Bradford County Food Pantry is. And we'll also put it on our webpage as well.
Yeah. The phone number is 964-3984 to the pantry.
Right.
And we are located at 2226 North Temple Avenue, the old Gold Key building, between the State Farmers Market and the main entrance to the Bradford County Fairgrounds.
Well, how about this? And Tara, with a quick response, let me know who I can bring them to tomorrow or Monday. Already got them made.
Monday.
And how many, David Rodgers? Feel free to message to let me know the answers to those questions. I'd be more than happy to help, she
A
said.
dozen if she can do it.
A dozen, he said, Tara. How about a dozen?
And we'll be down there Monday sometime.
Monday, 964 Tara 3984, and you can get a hold of me. So, I'll relay the message to Bob. I'm going to try to get Bob back on maybe here in a couple of weeks to give us an update of what's going on at the Bradford County Food Pantry. If you want to help, you heard the number one thing. Volunteers. If you would like to volunteer for the Bradford County Food Pantry, that number, get a hold of them, 964-3984. And also, if you can help out monetarily, financially, you can call them at the same number, 964-3984, or you can hit us on the spot with David Rodgers, on the spot, 32091 at gmail.com, and I will make sure that Mr. Bob Milner and his great staff get that information.
And we do have Facebook. We're just got to improve it a little bit. We do
That's
have
okay.
We do have a
Yes,
Bradford
we
Food
do.
Pantry Facebook, so you, Tara, and anyone else, you can reach us on that.
There you go. All right, Bob, thank you very much. Got to do the elbow bump?
There you go.
There you go. Bob, thank you very much. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for on
Mr.
the
Bob
spot.
Milner, thank you very much. God bless you. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You just heard a great guest right there, Miss
definitely.
Mitchell, Mr. Bob Milner, always involved in all kinds of different things. You've known him as your ex-sheriff.
Yep.
He's a retired county manager, did a great job there. He volunteers for a lot of stuff.
Oh, definitely.
And we've intertwined with him on several different things, but we want to thank him for what he's doing as the vice president of the Bradford County Food Pantry.
And I tell you, I can't wait till this pandemic's over, so we can actually put on a car show.
Yeah.
Not only we do cars, but we'll do motorcycles
Yeah.
and trucks as well.
Yeah, we sure will. How about that? There you go.
Isn't that called
Yeah.
a pillar of the community?
Yes, that's exactly right.
And speaking of that,
Yeah, we've got our. Come on in, Sheriff. Hey, the guy right now, Mr. Gordon Smith, our sheriff of Bradford County. Welcome in, Sheriff.
Hey, if I show up on a motorcycle though,
Well, why don't you
something's
slide
wrong.
over so they can see your pretty face?
I can't. Which way I got to go here? Tell me where I got to be.
There you go.
All right.
Hey,
I
there
can
you
just
go.
see you riding in on the hog.
Yeah, I could just see you right in on that hog too. What you gonna do there?
If you catch me on when something's wrong, have you seen what I did with the 4-wheel vehicle I drive?
Yeah,
It's been hit everywhere but the title.
title.
You know?
Yeah.
Man, I got no business. No, I got brothers that love it.
Oh, I know.
My brothers
yeah.
are big into it, but I
Yeah.
I got broke from that a long time ago.
While I've got Bob here real quick, I did, Sheriff, before we get into some reports and some things that we want to get into, I did want to, if you want to come on just a second real quick, Bob, are you working in conjunction with the Circle K and what they're doing, Feeding America as well? Because what they're saying is that the money they raise is going to the local food pantry, according to what I've got right here. If you want to take a look at this press release, it looks like they're trying to help feed the community here as well. And I'm thinking that all the money, they told me all the money is going to stay here. The manager of the one on 225 and 16, Brandy, told me. We went over this last Tuesday, this press release, and they're going to, they're doing sort of the same thing that you're doing. So I don't know if she's working in conjunction with you guys or if that's where the monies are going to.
I'm sure they will. We have been contacted by a number of organizations that
Right.
Food Pantry that says we are doing this over a period of time, and when people have donated or we've sold so much, a percentage of it's going
Right.
to come to y'all. So we know that, and I'm sure Circle K is one of them.
Yeah, and Circle K, let me tell you, Bob, while you're standing right there, she was telling me, and I went over it, 1 gallon of gas will feed one person. So if you buy 1 gallon of gas from Circle K, feeds one person. If you get 12 gallons, which they consider a fill-up in most cars, so they consider that a fill-up, will feed a family of 4.
Yeah.
And all the money that's raised between the one on Griffiths Loop, the one right here on 16, and the one on 225, all that money, you're probably going to say it's probably coming to you. So you may want to get a hold of her if you want to make a copy of that or whatever.
Circle K.
There you go. So thanks Circle K for doing that as well. One of the things that they talked about was, if we do this, does that money stay local? Of course. Yeah, and it does for them as well. So again, thank you guys for joining us. Now we've got our esteemed Sheriff Gordon Smith. Gordon, welcome on in, my brother. How's everything going so
Man,
far
I'm
in
blessed.
Bradford County?
I'm telling you, we're wonderful here in Bradford County. We're all, we're all in this together.
Yes, we are.
And I'm gonna tell you what, I serve a great community.
Yep.
We really don't have the issues that we see in a lot of the surrounding counties. As I keep track, I've been on the phone weekly with my fellow sheriffs throughout the state.
Right.
Seeing what all the different counties are doing. I can just tell you that I by far have the best sheriff's job in the state.
Oh,
can't
I
complain.
agree.
With the community I work with and our citizens, we're not dealing with a lot of the same issues they are. I'm gonna tell you, it's great to come out of the house.
Yep.
Tired of doing chores. My wife's a little OCD, and it's worse now that she's home all the time. You can't even relax or set something down. It's like she's moving me all of a sudden.
That's why I was running late. I had to call Dan and say, I'm running late.
I'm running late.
Nikki's got me doing stuff around the
But
house.
we talked about the food pantry, and then the first thing I had in my notes was Amir and Dale down at Murray Ford.
Right.
They called me Friday at the thing and said, "Look here, we'd like to get involved. Our employees, we're going to pay them $20 if they'll shave their head." We tried to come up with a cause.
Right.
Do you have a cause? I said, "Yeah, absolutely, food pantry." And I said, "Well, is it anything illegal?" I said, "You're not licensed barbers or beauticians, are you?" "Well, no." I said, "You're going to wear a mask and some safety and keep your distance?" "Well, yeah." I said, "Well, count me in." I said, "We need the money for the food pantry." And they did. They stepped up. They paid $20 to shave your head. I think they was given $30 to shave if you had your beard.
Right.
That was $30, and your eyebrows, you do the whole works for $50.
Wow.
And with just their employees at the Ford, they called me back and said in a couple of hours and said, "Hey, we got a $640 check. Who do we need to make it
How
out
about
to?"
that?
What about that?
So I called my neighbor, Mr. Moody. who's over the food pantry, is Sheriff Milner. I always call him Sheriff. I
Me
worked
too,
for
yeah,
him.
I'm Sheriff. I was, yeah.
I was one of his most faithful. Worked for him a long time. When he was a teacher, I was
Right.
one of the county's first school resource officers. So we
Right.
worked quite a bit when he was an instructor in criminal justice. So know him well. The cause is important to him. It's important to me.
Right.
Our sheriff's explorers have really stepped up. Those young men and women, and I'm gonna tell you, you don't have to ask them. I mean, they're like, when we get to go.
Right.
You know, it's they feeling the importance of helping the community.
Right.
And I'm gonna tell you, I'm very proud of our Explorer program. Sergeant Schiller and his bunch that gets it orchestrated. They're doing lining the cars up. You know, that's what they do. Mostly is parking.
Yeah.
They're better than if we sent deputies down there. They're well with the parking aspect. of
Right.
it. And then they're taking the notes and letting the volunteers get the stuff ready. And they're doing the backlifting with a lot of the volunteers. So kudos to Sheriff Milner, but Mr. Moody and Barry Warren's mama, Miss Warren's. I always people call her Betty, but I've known her as Miss Warren because Barry and I and his brothers all grew up together. She's always been Miss Warren to me.
Right.
In regards to it, Mitchell mentioned here, you know, our 6 o'clock update, 42.
Right.
Testing positive, 9 hospitalized, and people, you get worried about that. But a lot of these nursing homes, if they have somebody with that, they move them out to a hospital.
That's right.
Because they have a lot of other underlying conditions, which is involved in our 2 deaths. The governor did this afternoon. I watched the governor, and then I watched our president most of the afternoon prior to coming, just kind of catching up. And they're going to start naming the assisted living facilities. So that'll be coming as part of that dashboard.
The dashboard,
This
right.
next week coming in, we'll start listing the assisted living facilities to kind of let people know, because people want to know. They have
Sure.
loved ones in there.
Absolutely.
That are loved. And in our community, that's one of the biggest questions. Which one? Which one? Well, we don't have but 2. Really,
Right.
we got 8. There's some smaller ones out there to help. They have to care of
2
the
main
sunglasses.
facilities,
Well, we
as
have
you're
the
talking.
2 major facilities
Right.
that do that. All of them do a great job.
Right.
They're the 2 bigger ones. The others don't really have any that I'm aware of, but
Right.
we'll know when they start listing us on the dashboard. So that's important to keep that out there of what they're doing there. Also, Monday, the governor will be naming his task force reference reopening.
Right.
We're seeing some counties already taking on that task with beaches, those type things. But I think he's going to form with a group of professional people that really, it's kind of like when you catch the flu or something and you take your antibiotics till you feel better, and then you
Right.
quit taking them.
Quit taking it.
We got to be careful. I
Right.
think we need to do it smart. You know, I hear all sides of it, and all of us are making our best guess.
Right.
Even the
Sure.
doctors. I listen to all the professionals, and they're still making their best guess. But I can tell you what, we're great to live in America. The
Absolutely.
greatest country in the world. We got some of the smartest people from all around the world that are working, and we've done better than all these other countries.
Yes, we have.
Because of the approach.
Right.
And I'm telling you, we're all in this together. Staying home still is one of the best methods, I'll be honest to tell you. But I think, you know, we got to look at how do we get back into this. We got to start
Right.
putting our toe into the water.
Right.
Yes, we do.
You know, and get these people, you know, there's well, we know what it is now. We got a lot more knowledge of it.
Right.
We're having ways of treating it now. We're not hearing less about ventilators. We're hearing
Right.
more about treatments and cures. I hope we get there, and I think we'll get there faster than anybody else in the world.
Right.
But with that being said, I think local, each community is no 2 communities are the same.
No, they're not.
What's good for Bradford County may not be good for Brevard County.
Right.
If you live on a coastal area, if you live in a heavy populated area,
Right.
all those things have to be considered, and that's where your board of county commissioners, working with your emergency management officials, those type things come into play.
Right.
So we're great with that. Unfortunately, we've had the 2 deaths, which really,
Yeah.
and it took them days to make those determinations
Sure.
with all the underlying stuff. In regards to it, I want to let you know on behalf of the board of county commissioners, landfill's still open. Now they're trying to keep their distance. If you get there, they're not able to help you. Yeah, I'm used to pulling up. They grab and if they're helping you, but they're being a little more careful. And I had to tell them when I pulled up, hey guys, I get mine. Don't do that. The burn ban's still on. Now I'm
Right.
hoping we get some substantial rain the next couple of days, Sunday and Monday, that we're able to readdress that. We need to look at it. I can tell you, everybody being home because you can't get in the hardware store. People talking about Walmart being busy or Winn-Dixie. Don't try going to the hardware store. Lord have mercy.
I drove by Home Depot the other day. That place was packed.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, I like to hang out in Jackson's Building Supply. A lot of friends in there.
Is Billy Rayburn one of your friends?
I love Billy. Billy and I go way back to
Yes, you
school
do.
days.
Yes, you do.
Him and I should say, my proper English, Bradford English 101. We used to have a good time. I'm gonna tell you, we had a lot of good fun growing up.
I know y'all did.
From the lunch line, we'd fight over, and that's didn't have the secret code you entered. You had to spout out your number to get that free lunch.
Right. Of
My
course.
mama was a bus driver raising 4 kids. I get it, but we've had that friendship a long time. but he's always worked.
Yeah.
He's a fixture at Jackson's.
Yes,
I
he
think
is.
they call him Billy Jackson most of the
They
time.
do.
They get
I think
confused.
they do. Yes, they
and
do.
There's a
Billy
Jackson's
Jackson.
Billy that was a good friend of mine also.
Right.
So they double first cousins, I think, or something. But anyway, with that being said, the landfills are still open. Courthouse still doing business.
Good.
We're doing it a little differently.
Right.
But I can tell you, all your elected constitutional officers in the courthouse really doing a good job of trying
Yes,
to
they
serve
are.
the community during this time. Commission meeting, the first one ever telephonic. We ought to just keep that way.
We should. That
40,
was,
43 minutes, man.
That was it.
I could hear everybody. There,
Yeah.
you know, it made it quick. I got to do it from the house. I
Yep.
left over there. We got everything set up to record.
Right.
And did that. And the IT staff.
You
of the
sounded good when
county.
you came on, man. I heard you loud and
It
clear.
did.
Did you hear my loud voice
I
loud
did.
and clear?
Loud and clear. And you know, they did a good job of getting that telephonic message out. And as
Right.
people are learning this new method, it real well was able to conduct business.
Right.
And it was done. So, and they'll be posting of the video of it, so you can see Commissioner Daugherty, the chairman,
Right.
and then all the stuff that come in. It's clear. I watched some of the videos, so that'll be posted on their site.
Right.
To get that out. The National Guard strike team was in town. I know this week we kind of got busy. Phone people wanting to know all the National Guard, and one was seeing them in the military uniform at these nursing home locations.
Right.
The second one, they suited up those Tyvek suits.
Right.
The white suits. People
Right.
started hitting brakes out there on 100. People come down Colorado Road, you can see them hit the brake. Look, like something out of one of those movie screens. And then, of course, me, I'm a distraction, you know. And I try,
Right.
Yeah.
We're all wearing the mask. I said, nobody will know me with that mask on, you know. Because, you know, we're there, and people, shit. So I was more of a distraction. I said, well, it's time for me to depart company. But we have a couple local guys that are assigned to those units,
Right.
and we've always talked about it. And I've had the honor of going out and going through these units, and we'll never need that. Nice, you know, there's sensors that can tell what's in the air. They Tyvek. These guys take a lot of risk. It's a great strike force that the state of Florida has, privileged to have. And they went in our nursing homes and have been able to assist, finding out nursing homes across the country are affected a lot more, per se, than hospitals or other
Exactly.
locations.
Right.
And they're trying to figure that out. And they've got, you know, you take like Louisiana, who's not got quite as many tested positives as
Right.
we had, but their fatalities are almost double.
Double.
You look at that, and a lot of those come from nursing home facilities. More than a fourth of them are coming in these central areas. And that's something they're figuring out, but that's what these professionals do.
Right.
I just kind of stand back and keep people from entering and watch and observe with awe and amazement. So
Yeah, someone hit me up and says, what's going on at the nursing home? It looks like something that you will see on CNIS or
yeah,
NCIS,
I was there, and my phone's blowing up, and I said, "Well, with this mask on, nobody will spot me."
Right.
That became a distraction. Hey, Sheriff, everybody wanted to know.
Hey, Sheriff, I want to just real quick look at that. I think that's Dwight Allen tempting you with those cowboy beans that he cooks all the time.
Is that what it is?
Yes, sir. You see that
I
right
see
there, the
that.
American Party right there.
Yeah, you
He's
got it.
tempting you
I
with the
see it.
cowboy beans right there.
I see. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, you got to watch him.
You
He's
gotta
always got
watch-
something. It's you know, it's there. So the strike team was in town to tell people they were special. They're 4-man teams.
Yeah.
So each unit had four-man teams, led with the colonel. Department of Health, Miss Amy Johns and Dan Mann and them were all there
Right.
overseeing what was taking place. I'm gonna tell you that was something neat to see how professional that was run without scaring the patients, without entering what they do. I didn't go inside the facility, but I stood out there in the parking lot when they come and was meeting them
Right.
and advised whatever assistance we could help them with blocking the street. People come just pulling in.
Right.
And amazed. I'm gonna tell you, Bradford County's fortunate. Like I said, I'm going back to the burn ban one more time. I'm hoping next
Yeah.
week we can really address that. But that is some of the issues that I've seen
Right.
that we really address now because we've got into the mode.
Right.
We're really not having a lot of conflict. People
No.
are working together, taking care of neighbors, taking care of each other. We don't. I'm gonna tell you, we meet 3 times a week with your local public safety officials, from Gary Wise, the fire chief, your city manager now that John that replaced Sheriff Milner.
Right.
There, he's been a great input, bringing some knowledge to the table. Alan Parrish from your EMS services. Alan's a
Right.
wealth of knowledge. And then we have our jail administrator who has, we're fortunate. Two jail facilities
Right.
and Department of Corrections have had some issues. We're really tightened down on that in the screening process, working together, how we sanitize stuff.
Right.
EMS units, how we're doing that, how they're transporting, how we're using our ER. The hospital is not closing.
That was one of
I
the
want to get that out
questions.
there.
I'm glad that you said
Hospital's
that.
not closing. Want to get that out there.
Yep.
They're working to make that transition as smooth as possible. Alan Parrish, really give kudos to that guy. He's
Yes.
working hand in hand with them. Gary Wise at the fire department has stepped up and found some resources. His people
Right.
from the city of Stark has really done good. Chief Johnson with the city of Stark, his staff has been and women
Oh,
have really
man.
done well. You know, he's had his agency affected a little bit with the case, but that was
Right.
handled top of the line, professional as it could be. We had a little scare here. Somebody came with a little fever. We had them immediately tested. The health department helped them out. They came back negative. I got that word this morning. So
Good.
we're staying on top of that, testing at the door,
Right, at the
and,
door.
and testing and now the CDC has come up with a new standard. Even if you come in contact, if it's 3 minutes or less, not a whole lot of worry. But if you do come in contact, you got to wear a mask 24/7.
Right.
Eye gear. Remember,
Right.
it's eyes, nose,
Nose,
and mouth.
mouth. That's right.
Is the
Yes.
three important. You see this here. It's not water. That's
Right.
hand sanitizer. We're starting to get the supplies in. The emergency management team, really to Miss Wendy and really doing a
Oh,
good
man,
job.
Miss Wendy
Ray
Russell, yeah.
Shuford and Christy, the three of them have really teamed up and supplying our hospitals, our emergency medical team, our frontline people that are out there, getting them the gear that they need. The supplies are coming in, so we're meeting the needs now. We're actually getting caught up,
Right.
which is great because we were scurrying for a while.
Right.
They were really doing a lot of that, so that has really come about with that.
Right.
So that's kind of an update with what we have going on right now in Bradford County. And if anybody out there has a question, that's the reason I like On the Spot,
Yeah.
because you can interact.
You can interact.
I
That's
can
exactly
give you a
right.
message, and I can put a message out, as I did, but I don't get no interaction. So this is where we get that interaction.
Well, I want to thank you for one, having your deputies. I see them out there quite often, right there at State Road 100 and 144th, to ensuring people to slow down, make sure people's not, going out that exit and cutting across Caddy Corner, across 100 to get to 144th. So I want to give a shout out of thanks on that, and they've been there quite regular. And I appreciate it. And I tell you, I think since y'all showed a bigger presence there, the accidents has gone down a little bit.
Well, our accidents countywide are down.
Right.
All of our call load countywide is down. Other than here's a couple things we picked up on: domestic violence,
Right.
and some of those are our regulars. I
Yeah.
repeat, but we're not getting a lot of spouse on spouse or that.
Right.
We get a lot with the kids.
Yep.
The teenage
Yep.
kids.
Right.
I don't want to blame the kids for the ATV accidents. We've had a couple of those.
Right.
People are
That's
hemmed
right.
up. We've had one that involved, I think, juveniles, teenagers.
Right.
But the majority, grown people, acting like young people.
And I think that one was on 21B.
Yeah,
Right.
we've
two
had some
females.
serious ones, and so we be mindful of that. But all in all, Bradford County has done real well. Even our EMS, our calls for service for emergency medical. Talking with Alan, I mean, people don't want to go to the hospital.
No.
So they're not using them. So it's really our community has come together. And people say, well, why we got so many? Well, guess what? We're testing more.
More. Right.
Yeah, the big
More
study
you
I
test,
watched-
the more the
well, I
number's going to
watched-
grow.
I watched them, with the presidential thing today, as he
Yeah.
addressed it, that Stanford has just did one of the studies out there in Santa Clara, California, and they're predicting 50 to 80, 85% possibly that are testing positive for the antibody. So it's way more people have had it. So that
Right.
makes everything come down. So they're addressing that. And there's another study in the Northeast. I'm telling you, America's brain trust is phenomenal. When it comes to people coming together and crossing party lines. Let's do what everybody's got their opinion. And everybody says don't politicize it. I'm very conservative on criminal issues and probably a little more liberal on social issues of those ways. But I'm gonna tell you, I've seen friends taking care of friends that view totally different. Some of my best friends are totally different views than I am.
Right.
In the community, but we're still friends. At the end of the day, I got some people that don't agree with the way we get the information out. It happens. It's just part of our community.
Right.
We're there to serve everyone, and everybody has their own opinions sometimes, and we have to do what we deem best. And I can tell you overall, whether you go to Bradford County, Florida, the clerk's website, the county's website.
Right.
Once you get there, BradfordCountyFlorida.gov. Once you get to that website, you can hit the emergency management button. It'll link you over, and we have all the resources, whether it's web-based. You can go to our Facebook, our Twitter.
Right.
You'll see videos and stuff. We kind of update the Bradford County Emergency Management Facebook. And you can go to the Bradford County Telegraph. They touch base with us on a routine basis, several times a week. If there's any information they need to put out on their social media sites, WEAG, Chuck Kramer at
That's
the
it.
radio station. Man, y'all did a great show the other morning.
Right.
Listen
Appreciate
in.
that. Yes, sir.
So those people that live out in the county that may not have internet, People don't understand. A lot of people in
Right.
the county,
Don't-
you
right.
get areas that don't have internet, so the radio at WAG is important.
Yeah, thank you
Now,
for that,
those are our
Richard.
local sources. I've dealt with all the regional.
Sure.
I have the CBS 4 out of Gainesville, Channel 20, News 4 Jacks. They're getting the info. But remember, they're not getting out and about like they used to.
Right.
So they're taking stuff off our social media
Right.
and blasting it
And
out
blasting-
for us.
sure.
So it works.
It does
It
work.
works. We're getting all the sources, so people, if they want to find it, they can find it. There's always going to be those people that always they're part of the distraction instead of part of the solution. So
Right.
we deal with that. I have that all the time. It's nothing new. It's sad that they try to take advantage of that during
Sure.
the time as we're trying to get the information out. It's all about them instead of everybody.
Right.
I have to worry about getting it out to the masses.
Right.
And we've done a good. I'm going to tell you, I'm proud of my team. That's not me. That's the men and women that work for you here at the sheriff's
That's
office
exactly right.
that get that out.
That's exactly right. Again, welcome to On the Spot with David Rodgers. Had a great show so far. Had Mr. Bob Miller, Vice President of Bradford County Food Pantry. What great information he gave out, Mitchell and Dave.
Oh, definitely,
He did a
definitely.
great job. Thanks for Bob for stopping in. Right now, we've got Sheriff Gordon Smith on with us. If you're looking and going to my left, where's Mr. Byron Bagwell? Mr. Byron Bagwell is on a run right now. He works for Haven Hospice, and he had a call. He's doing his due diligence to go out there and trying to stay safe while he's doing that job,
right.
because you don't
It's
never
tough.
know he's coming.
He's tough.
come-
He's
yeah.
dealing with a tough population.
Yes,
right
he does. And, you know, when you're going in there, setting in, on the front line, setting up hospital beds, commodes, oxygen, whatever it is, Mr. Byron Bagwell does it. Hey, I love you, brother. Please be safe out there, and I'm going to contact you after the show and make sure that you're okay. But we love Mr. Byron Bagwell on the show. And unfortunately, he's not here right now. We do have Mr. Mitchell Gunner, another one of my brothers that I love. He's here with us. Producing the show, Mr. Dave Holland back here, doing a fantastic job as always, Dave. And one of your guys, our director, Mr. Michael Heater, on engine number 20, man, he's out there hitting it and getting it.
They're giving. I mean, they're you know.
He set this up, man. He had a roll, man. He's on his roll.
He's still. Let me tell you, he was a full-time employee, also volunteer.
Yeah.
With our fire department. This
Yeah.
guy is. He steps up every time we ask him. I come down the hallway the other day.
Yeah.
He's sweeping the floors.
Yeah.
I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, I'm sitting here with nothing to do." So we don't have our inmates that normally keep clean around the building.
Right.
We call trustees.
Trustees. Yeah.
There's no car washing going on. You know, so
Right.
with all the. What scares me now with the rain,
Right.
I can tell you, like I tried to get my yard mowed this morning.
Yeah, no.
Twice I tried to start, I got rained on.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I got grass growing. Here's the problem: all these roads we normally pick up and do things ahead of time, and keeping grass cut. And what
Right.
we have 3 inmate work squads.
Right.
When I came sheriff, we had 1. We're now 3 full-time inmate
Full-time,
work squads,
right.
but we don't have any inmates. State's got all their inmates, and they're not coming out.
Right.
They're not letting our inmates come out. They're allowed to do the laundry duty inside
Right.
the jail and the kitchen duties. We serve the inmates
Right.
and feed. But our normal services, we've got everything out of sync.
Right.
I mean, I've actually got the supervisors. They're doing all the grunt work. The work squad supervisors.
Right.
Every time I turn around, where y'all at? Well, we're back at the hardware store. So we got nice equipment. They got them all tuned up, ready to go. But the grass is going to be growing, so we got to do something to get back in. Can you use them for, here's, it's like cutting hair. Can they do it
Yeah.
for a mask?
Yeah.
We're going to have some common sense approach to easing ourselves back into opening our economy up.
Right.
Back
Right.
into to doing that. And it's going to be county by county.
It is.
What I can do
It
here,
is.
they're not going to do in Gainesville.
No, they're not. They may not do it in Lake
know,
City or whatever.
Gainesville did a curfew. How'd
Right.
that work out?
Right. Exactly.
Lodgeville County.
Yeah.
They finally said, you don't want to put them in jail because I don't want them in jail.
No, you don't.
I just be honest with you. But now, don't think it keeps you from going to jail because we're still incarcerating.
That's right.
Oh, absolutely.
We're still out,
break
catching
the
bad
law, you
guys.
Break the law, you're gonna pay the price.
We're trying to use a little more judgment, and in our county, the deputies have a little more discretion than deputies in other counties.
Right.
It's common sense to going back to. I just got to say something to our faith-based community. I'm such a proud sheriff of the ministers and the people that lead their faith on Sundays and Wednesday nights and those type things. I've not had a problem with one minister in this community, one pastor, one preacher, one priest. Everybody that's called for input has worked with us. Nobody has went against it. They said, Sheriff, how can we help? I've had them reaching out. We've helped some families in times of need. We had one with the wheelchair ramp here the other day, and I can tell you that pastor and a couple of his flock went out and helped with a wheelchair ramp that had broken. A person needed it.
Right.
I called one church, and it doesn't matter if it's what the denomination it is. They have all stepped up to the plate, and every minister in this community has worked well with us. Some churches are small, 10 or less,
Right?
which is just as important as the big church.
It sure is.
I grew up in a
Absolutely.
small
Maybe
church.
sometimes more important.
God leads you to where He needs you, whether it be
Yep.
big or small. So, wherever
Right.
the flock is calling, I get it. It doesn't matter what denomination it is or what part of this community it comes from. Every minister has worked well with us in the sheriff's office. And all they've done is ask for advice.
Right.
Or sometimes saying, Pastor, can I get your advice and some prayer?
Prayer.
And I've received more prayer because of that power of prayer. I still believe in it. That we live in a wonderful community. We're not dealing with the issues you see all over
No.
this country and nor will the men and women of the sheriff's office do that.
Well,
go ahead.
like I went to Walmart today, and everybody's being the 6 foot.
Yep.
I talked to
It's
several
great.
people, and they would be about from me to you
Yeah.
apart, and we would talk.
And then there's
everybody's
I had people doing that to me before I ever got there. I don't know. People
The 6 foot rule is already out. Stay away from
they
this.
want that running room, you know what I'm saying?
Sheriff, I do have a couple of questions, couple of comments
Absolutely,
right
bring
here.
them on.
Do you know Lorna Reddish? You do.
I do know Miss Lorna.
Yeah, Lorna says,
Bless her
Gordon.
heart, I knew she's married to.
Yeah, me too. Lorna says, Gordon, thanks for all you're doing to keep us safe. And she has a question.
Absolutely.
She says, how are we handling contact tracing in Bradford County?
Well, it's all handled through the Department of Health, and that's become an issue. Department of Health overnight boomed, so
Yeah.
they're still doing it. When there's a contact, when you fill out that form and you come back and you test positive,
Right.
first thing you do is who do you live with? Because here
Yeah.
we do have whole families that get infected
Yeah.
because of the loved one that works in the medical
Right.
field.
Right.
I'm telling you, friends of mine, y'all, I know it, and people are like, oh, they're doing the right thing.
Sure.
And I'm telling you, but the Department of Health is responsible for that. Have they asked us to help them? Yes. I can tell you when Putnam County had a case with a medical doctor.
Right.
A couple of patients were in our county, and they reached out to us, said, could you go make contact with them? They couldn't get it, so we did.
Right.
We still help our Department of Health. Miss Amy Johnson, and I can tell you if it's something a critical need, her or you can Miss Muscally, Dawn, and them. All of them worked out in the health department. They know Dan Mann. He's their information
Right.
person. They'll say, Sheriff, can you do? They know we're going to do it.
Absolutely.
Whether it be delivering food from the food pantry.
Pantry,
We got
yep.
beat up when Roy's Grocery had the big day. Mr. Roy, our local meat man that everybody
Yeah.
knows. If
Of
you live
course,
in Bradford
been there
County,
forever.
If you
Best
want
sausage
in
in Bradford.
Oh, my
County,
God. Yes, sir.
he had it overwhelming, but there were some people that couldn't, that called it in, and we had some deputies stepped up and said, well, you got some shut-ins.
Yeah.
And somebody said, oh my gosh, the deputy's cutting line. I seen one of them, social media. Don't have to be true to be good.
No.
But it takes care of itself. The people out there will address that and take care of it.
Yes, they will.
So, and you know what? I can't hide from it. I grew up redheaded and freckled. Had to learn to take it a long time ago. Got to be tough.
Sherry Riddle said, thank you to the Kramers on WAG Eagle Country
Amen.
106.3 with what you just mentioned. Sherry, I appreciate it. Hey, I was just in there helping out Chuck. That's who I do work for in the fall.
That was a good show. Y'all need to do more. A couple
Yeah,
more.
we
'cause
do, we do.
As we get
Yeah,
open
we
up,
do.
because Chuck and and Mary and them down there, they really they don't realize they got a big listening group.
Yes, they do. Big time.
They got a big ear.
Yeah. And of course, they're ready for Bradford County football, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Woo, we sure
but
need it.
I also want to throw somebody else out there. I really love these people. I want to thank the Bradford County Telegraph.
Oh, definitely.
Man, for putting all the ads out there in the paper that they're doing. John Ryan Tillman, I love you, man. And yes, we'll get together and do a show. I know he wants to do a show with us. Elizabeth, I love you. Cliff, everybody, Mr. Mill, everybody over that they're class act number one. That paper comes out once a week. But let me tell you something. When that paper comes out, it's very informative. It's got things in there that sometimes we don't even get a chance to get to. Yeah. And like I said,
not cutting you off, but I'm going to tell you, I always use it as I tell them. I get it from my Paul Harvey. No, there's some young people out there that may not understand.
Yeah, I know.
But for the rest of the story, we can give you the
That's
good
right.
meat, kind of stuff.
Right.
But when you want to know the rest of the story, that's that once a week paper. And I don't wait till Thursday. I'll be honest with you. If I get it on Thursday, it's late because I want to see Eddie.
Yeah, sure. You want to see Eddie. Yeah, I still try to see Eddie too.
And Eddie, over the years, I'm telling you, the man works. It's just pleasant to see, and that's part of my routine.
Right.
That if you wait till Thursday, the news is old. But John Ryan is actually using the social media to their benefit. Every time they've been asked to help, but they give you the printed press, which gives you the rest of the story that somebody may have just got in, and never gets a chance to go back.
Right. That's right.
But they open that paper on an incident or an accident. They come here, they get the information. Mark Crawford's been working from home. I know he's been dialing. Cliff has traveled 1,000,000 miles.
Yes, he has.
So we know those people personal down there.
Yes, we do.
And John Ryan you're not going to find anybody other than his grandpa probably, that loves Bradford County as much as John Ryan.
I was just going to say, John, if you're listening, I know you watch the show, you and your lovely wife and all your people. Thank you for what you do. Bradford County Telegraph, up #1 with us. I can tell you what, we try to trade information as much as we can. Sometimes it just doesn't happen that way. But I want to give kudos to the Bradford County Telegraph and to the Kramers, Mr. Chuck Kramer, Miss Mary Kramer, actually Lynn Velez now, for what they do on WEAG Eagle Country 106.3. It's a local radio station, but if you want the news, Mr. Chuck Kramer will have it for you on the radio. There's no doubt. Every 30, 40 minutes, you're going to get the news and the weather. You can spot that on brother. I can tell you that.
We wake up to it. Now, I want you got to hit that
Yep.
music button.
Gotta hit the music button.
We use the
Yep.
same radio now.
Yep.
Married 25, 26. Seems like yesterday, honey. Been married 27 years, and we still got the same radio.
Right.
And she knows right where it's at, sitting on the same station.
Yep. All you got to do is turn it on because it's Chuck
And
Kramer's.
whatever day after, she knows the birthdays, anniversaries, anything. Chuck always keeps us informed.
The Chuck Kramer Show from 6 to 10. Him and Mary get on there and joke around, do a little all kinds of things. But if you want some information, he's got it. And he's got people with great information. Dr. Joel Saylor. You know how much stuff I've got from Dr. Joel Saylor?
Don't you know it?
Oh, that I've used and tried. And it's simple stuff. How about Murray Ford, Murray Automotive Group, all those guys, all our local businesses that advertise through him. I tell you, and speaking of that, how about our local restaurants and our local people right here
Heroes.
right now?
They're heroes. They're the ones you
Man.
realize these people are getting up, feeding our
Oh, my
community,
God.
still trying to maintain, but we couldn't do it without them. The guy at the local, whether it be the employee at the local hardware, whether it be the employees that go to Winn-Dixie or Walmart
Right.
or Save-A-Lot, these people are getting up, and the truck driver. We mentioned Jimmy Davis a while ago.
Yes, we did.
That man in every storm, every event we've had, I can tell you, working in emergency management, this man has done whatever it takes. Goes unseen. So I think he'd be mad if we even knew he was mentioning.
I was just going to
But his
say,
whole-
yeah, he's probably going. We're going to get a phone call. Why'd you mention me?
But his whole family's that way.
Yes, they
His
are.
whole family's that way. But others do the same thing. I mean, we've had a great community that no matter what we've asked for, we've had people step up. And the people that work out there every day that are still going to work, still taking the risk, they're doing the same thing we're doing. I was on a conference call with my fellow sheriffs this week and said, "Are you giving your people hazard pay?" I said, "Everything we do is high hazard. What are you talking about?"
That's
I
right.
didn't do it during the hurricanes. Well, look, so was the person that worked at McDonald's when I drove there today and got my 2 grandsons a Happy Meal.
That's right. Thank you.
Think about
Yeah,
it. They still
think
got-
about
they
it.
went to
Yes.
work. They left their
Family?
They can stand just a chance of getting exposed. Now,
That's
I can
right.
tell you, they're taking the extra steps now. Y'all, the plate of glass,
Right.
which I think is a great idea. Keep
Yeah.
people jumping through the glass. We won't see them stupid videos, people jumping through.
Yeah, they're jumping
we
through.
have
Now
learned a
they-
lot from this. I think we're going to learn a lot from this and come out stronger and better.
Oh yeah, and I tell you, a lot of the churches are broadcasting their sermons.
Yeah.
I look for that
Great.
to continue.
I look
Oh,
for
I
that
love
to
it. And you
continue.
go back
other
now.
people.
Yeah.
Easter Sunday,
That
we
can't
watched
make
about
it.
4 different sermons. I was able to see all my different
Churches.
and check in. Man, it was
Yeah.
pretty neat. I got to see some of my favorite pastors. I love to see
Right.
them much, and then it's great, man. I'm telling you, we're learning something from this.
We're
We
going
are.
to see a lot of good.
I think we'll see more good than harm come from it.
Learning that social connection.
Yeah. I do want to say something here. Kudos to Sheriff Smith for setting up a great system serving the county. Let's see here. Mask, gloves, and glasses if necessary, according to Byron. I'm sure he's wearing that now. Michael Heater, he jumps in to help everyone from Jason Dodds. He does.
hey.
I promise you that.
I seen him mopping the floor a while ago.
I'm telling you, the guy I seen him. I'm to walk around the corner. I said, "What are you doing?" Well,
And that's another man right there that
our road
jumps and
superintendent.
tries to help out is Jason Dodds.
All you got to do
Yeah.
is call.
That's it.
Jason and I talk
Right.
all the time, whether it be a pothole, whether it be, hey, the other day we had a fire and they have a big water tanker truck. And he knew we was running. He sent his staff,
Yeah.
out with the water tanker truck.
Right.
So, and Benji Bennett, who used to be with the fire service, he knew exactly and got there and was able. I mean, it's team effort working together.
Right.
In regards to it. So it's really a great system when you're in a small community and everybody pitches in
Right.
to fight whatever it is.
Here's a great question. I've never thought about it. Melissa Manning, thank you for asking it.
Uh-oh.
Beautiful wife, Mrs. Smith is, Stephanie Smith. She's so beautiful. But she says, what is Stephanie doing right now? And what is she doing to help the community if she's doing anything to, like any stuff that we don't know about that Steph's is doing?
Let me tell you, Stephanie right now, because she's a licensed massage therapist,
Right.
That wasn't considered essential. She's been spending a lot of time with the grandchildren. Remember, my
Right,
son-in-law,
that's
my
right.
daughter, and
That's right.
are
Beautiful family.
educators.
Right.
So they're doing that. I've spent probably my grandkids. I've spent more time with them in the last 6-7 weeks. When I'm home, they're right there
Yeah.
with me till
Yeah.
they fall asleep, when they take turns staying the night. But Miss Stephanie is helping. She has really reached out to friends. She does a lot of volunteering, helping the people in the community. She wants to always be helping. So
Right.
she does. I said, "What are you doing?" "Well, I'm going to get something for so and so."
She wants to stay busy.
She's a busy person. I wish y'all. I'm gonna tell you, my wife is OCD. If I sit too long, she's gonna throw me out with the trash. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't. She's not used to me being around that because I work here. But I'm gonna tell you, we've done such a great job. The emergency management team
Right.
here has done such a great job that sometimes I look around. I'm going, what can I do?
What can I do?
All other than get in the way.
Right.
So I gather information.
Yeah.
Whether it be helping
Right.
my commissioners out, speaking to them on a daily basis, asking our board of county commissioners. People don't get to see a lot of them. Now, they don't understand. They can't all be in the same room at the same time.
That's right.
Yeah, Melissa, that is a great question. I've never really thought about it that way.
What's it?
But about what Stephanie's doing, because
yeah,
I know
she's
she's a licensed
So
therapist.
and she can't. So,
Right.
But she's right. She couldn't. But I can tell you, she's playing that grandma role. I better
Good.
not say that. Excuse me, Nana role.
Nana.
That was
Yeah,
slip,
yeah,
that
yeah,
was slip of
yeah.
tongue, honey. But she does that. But her and my daughter, they're all home and taking turns, and
Right.
and they're getting a lot of crafts done. They're doing things. I wish they quit finding more projects. I'm an outside yard grass cutting kind of guy.
Right.
In regards to, but I'm gonna tell you, she looks after a lot of people. Her parents are elderly.
Right.
She's got a family member that's going, and I don't think because they don't never mind the prayers. I promise you, her old Baptist father
Yep.
has gone through some medical stuff.
Yep,
and
that's right.
Dealing with that.
Yep.
But she is she's
Staying busy.
very busy.
You
Good.
know what's amazing about Stephanie? I've never seen her tired or overstressed.
I've never seen her that way either. That's a great
Always
point.
got this beautiful
Energy.
smile
And
on
energy.
her face.
Yes.
Yeah, she's
Energy.
always
Well,
happy.
until I get around. I can stress her, tire her out.
Hey, I remember one time Nikki asked her, says, "Stephanie, how do you stay so pretty all the time? It's like your hair's always in the
Shelley's,
perfect
that's the same
place.
question.
How do you do it?"
Hey, y'all, and she can do it in 5 minutes, guys. It's time to go. Over the years, I used to be a little, I have gotten more patient. I guess I've just been kicked into submission.
Right.
When you say, she says 5 minutes, you learn that's 15 or 20. You're not going to win, so why argue?
No.
You know,
And one thing I do love about Steph, yeah, that's right. Go Knowles, right?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, there we go. That's why me and Steph get
There's a
along
weak
great.
spot. There's a weak spot.
No, come on now. I do want to ask a couple of things, and I want to ask a favor of you.
You tell me what you need.
All right. So Don Stevens says he had some good pizza from Fun Point the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, to help support our local community businesses. But somebody asked, Sheriff, in your honest opinion, do you think the longer this goes on that some of our local restaurants may not be able to make it back?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
that is
And
a
it bothers
fair-
me a little more right now with what's going on in
Yeah.
Congress because of the small business loan thing's kind of it went so fast. 'Cause
Yeah.
There's a lot of people don't realize how many small businesses are the backbone of this country.
Yes, it
They're
is.
the backbone of our community. People like to fuss about their food because they can get behind a computer screen and do things they never
Sure.
say. We never had to worry about that. But a lot of these small businesses, the sooner we can get back, the better we're going to be. The longer it takes, the more it's going to harm them. Now, I know we got measures now. We've learned how to take the precautions. I think this is first part of opening it back up, whether it be 25% capacity,
Right.
whether
Right.
it be the 50% capacity, but healthcare, how you're handling it, face shields, masks,
Sure.
cooks, those kind of things. I think we can do some of that. Separate our booths, and then slowly work back into that. There's
Right.
common sense approach
Right.
that the CDC is coming out with, and we're going to be following those guidelines.
Right.
I can tell you that the Board of County Commissioners and all your elected officials, and we touch base routinely, are working on ways in this community that may benefit. What works here may not work for Jacksonville.
It may not.
work for
Right.
Gainesville. But for here, what's going to work? You're going to have your critics. Trust me.
Sure.
And most of them aren't.
Yeah.
Most of them aren't in the fight. You ever notice my biggest critics aren't in the fight?
No. No.
So it's you learn. We're not just jumping out there. We're taking advice.
Right.
But we also got to look at our community and say, where's it harming us the worst?
Right.
I think the governor did good by letting schools stay out the rest of the year.
Yes,
let
I do
everything
too.
get cleaned up and get them prepared to start back with a fresh new year. Now, I can tell you the school superintendent's working on ways for graduation and prom. These
Yep.
things are important to our young
yeah.
men and women that have reached that. That's something, that's a rite of passage.
Right.
And they're trying to figure out
Like
some way
that.
of doing
Yeah.
that. So I get it. That's not going unnoticed. There's always going to be critics. There's always going to be the ones, oh, you shouldn't. They can sit back an armchair quarterback.
Right.
But we're in the midst of the fight.
Fight.
And we're here to protect our community and serve. And I think, like with getting a haircut, man, look at everybody walking around. I
Yeah.
didn't bring my brush.
I need
That's why I
one.
brought a hat. I don't have a brush over there. I started to use it, so I threw a cap on. I'm not as pretty as you. I wish I had hair like
Yeah,
that.
you wish you had it.
I'd be jealous.
Hey,
I'd tell-
I'll be honest with you. It's hard to maintain. This guy has to keep it maintained,
That's what
brother.
I'm
Don't
saying.
you? You have
So,
to. Yeah.
do we let our barbers and our beauticians go back and
Golly.
just mandate they have to wear a mask for a while till we get somewhere better?
Yeah.
Do we make sure that these places we don't think a lot about our food service? That they open up the restaurant part.
Right.
It's I see a lot of people they're hoping that they get to keep the drive home deliver of the alcohol beverage, so they're not drinking and driving.
Right.
They can have it delivered to the house. You have to worry
Correct.
about not drinking and
That-
driving.
right.
There's a lot of things I think will be positive. If they're going to drink, I'd rather them do it at home.
Yep.
Right.
As a sheriff, I can tell you whether it be open up the grocery store and say we're still not going to let you keep track of how many's in store
Right.
per square foot. Maybe
Right.
that goes on for another 3 months.
Right.
But people see stuff going back to normalcy. We won't see our shelves ripped bare.
Correct.
And we got to do something. We got to start getting the economy rolling. And
Yeah.
like you said, I think one of the next steps would be to start opening up restaurants back open. And like you said, only 25 people per
Or 25% of
square foot.
capacity or whatever. Yeah,
Capacity
whatever.
per
Yeah.
square foot of the business.
Right.
That way we can start getting our waitresses and waiters back working.
That's right.
Because right now some of the cooks are still working right now because
Right.
they're still
Yeah.
doing takeout.
It's all your waiters
but
and stuff and the tips.
right,
I mean,
they're
it's-
hurting.
You're cutting 70% of their people.
People. Sure.
I mean, if you're a pizza delivery, that's great. That's all you have is a cook and a delivery
Good,
driver.
right.
But when you're talking about the restaurants that maintain the tips and the livelihood, think about all those unemployed people in this community. Just in this community
in their
alone.
community.
Now, you open it up to Gainesville and you open it up to things we don't think
Right.
about that are shut down.
Right.
Even at hospitals laying off staff.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Not because we're hospitals taking over
Right.
here. Hospitals cut because surgeries, dentist
Right.
offices aren't doing.
They're all cut
they
back.
do
Right.
is they're all cut back. The sooner we can get back to that, when we put safety practices in place to keep
Right.
that moving, we're going to be a much better community, a much better state, and a much better country.
You're right.
Yeah, I think
co-
I think we're just gonna do a reversal. The way that we shut everything down, we're gonna slowly start opening.
Well,
back
and
up-
I think that's
back
the
up
steps
other
that the
way.
president was
That's-
talking about, and we're going to go over those on Tuesday. I just forgot to bring the printout. We'll go over those steps, how the president wants to get this country back open
Man.
again, get the economy stimulated.
I miss
as
my
you were
movie
saying.
theater. My movie theater
Oh
popcorn.
my God! Yeah,
Man, you
yeah.
people
Can't
think
even
about
go
the
by
little
there and
things.
get the popcorn.
Popcorn.
You can't go by
Yeah.
and get the popcorn. I used to just drive by there and get a box of popcorn. and
popcorn,
Coke.
yeah.
You can't. I don't care how much they put in the bag. You make it home. It's not the same. It's just not the same.
No, it's not.
Lee,
No.
I stop by this many times, get a chat, grab a box of popcorn and a Coke, and off to the house. Now Justin's got it, and
Right.
with all the stuff they've dealt through, it kills me every time I drive by
Yeah.
and it's not open.
Carlton Jones, yes, we will be liberated from the burn ban. You heard the sheriff say he's going to address that next week. We'll see when that will occur.
We need some substantial running. We can do
Yeah.
that because I'm telling you, I'm one of the ones that need to burn stuff too. Now, if you got a commercial burn and you got the equipment, they're still issuing a
Right.
permit to. So you do have some burning. We've had to respond to some of the people calling us. So and so's burning.
Right.
Well, they went and got their permit and they've got the
They got it
equipment.
from the forestry
you can still
department.
forestry department. You still got commercial burning.
Right.
We just did it not to put because we were responding to 2 and 3 brush fires a day
Right.
that got out of control. Hopefully, with this substantial rain, grass is going to be growing. But I'm one of those same people. I can't wait to light a match.
Right.
I don't want to burn down my other neighbor's yard
Right.
or house, but,
Sure.
but I'm ready to burn some of the debris, and I think we can get back to that.
Shirley Bagwell, of course, Byron's
Byron's
mother,
mom.
beautiful mom. I love her to death. Miss Bagwell, I want to first start off and say you and Donnie are very great people. I consider you like a second mom. I really do. I've told you that. Thank you for all the food and
man.
all the cakes and
Secret
everything
good.
that you made for us. You don't know how much we appreciate it. We sit around and talk about it quite a bit. And I know Byron's not here. I know Byron's trying to listen in if he can. Shirley, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for all that you do. Thank you for tuning in. And thank you for letting us have Byron a couple of nights a week, because I know that he probably needs to be spending some time with you guys, which I know he does, but we love having him here on the show. But she's got a question. Having traveled extensively, I have been asked many times why I remain in such a small community. If you see how our community has come together during this pandemic, then they wouldn't have to ask her.
That's a fact. She nailed it. She nailed it because
She nailed it right on the head.
when I get on that conference call with all my fellow sheriffs throughout the state, and I hear the issues, I'm just sitting there scratching my head going, I'm not dealing with that. I don't have that issue. I don't have, every county has their few distractors, and I get it. Yes, people that they're going to be, I get it. But you know what? I'm still going to serve them. They call, I'm still going to go. They need help, I'm still going to respond.
That's right.
See, that's what makes us different. We can disagree on a lot of things, but I'm still going to do what I got to do. That's what serving people and helping people is two different things.
Right.
Helping somebody makes me feel good.
Sure.
Me too.
Sure.
I love doing it.
You know what I'm
Sure,
saying?
me too.
Now, when you're serving even when it doesn't feel good. Serving
Right.
is a calling.
It's a calling.
Teacher.
Yes.
Daughter.
Yes.
It's a pastor. Serving is doing it in the face of danger.
Correct. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a great point.
Is when it doesn't feel so good, when you're not going to get any recognition, or you're going to get beat up over.
Yeah.
I very seldom get beat up over the big things. It's usually the little things, or a difference of opinion with somebody. Something a deputy did. Gordon, why is old so and so mad at you? I got deputies. My mouth. I mean, I've been shot twice, stabbed, run over. No, I wasn't always the sheriff. I mean, I'm very opinionated, and sometimes I don't. I mean, I'm a talker. I can't sit at home by myself.
That's right.
I love people, and I'm a people person, and that's
That, just like we all are here on the spot. That's why we do it.
But we're best. But Miss Bagwell, I'm gonna tell you, she's great. It is, and it is better in Bradford.
Yes, it is.
I
It is.
tell people that
Yeah.
everything really is. At the end of the day, we might say we're not as fortunate money wise and tax based as a lot of other counties. But you know what? Nobody got a heart as big as Bradford.
Right. That's right.
Crossroads to America, heartbeat of Florida.
Florida, yep.
Why would you want to live here?
Pearl of the South, as I've called it.
Hey, and the only gated community in Bradford is called the jail. We're trying to keep people in, not keep it out, because everybody gets treated the same.
And I'll give you a prime example. When we were getting ready for one of the hurricanes one year, they had all the dirt dumped down there at the ball fields.
Yep.
People were helping elderly people
People.
to fill up their sandbags and
Yes.
put them in their vehicles for
Yep.
them. Just jumping in and helping out your neighbor, and that's what's so great about
Isn't it funny during
community.
those times, Mitchell, and I can ask Sheriff, and even to Dave, and Byron, I think would agree, during these times, isn't it great that, forget a political affiliation, as you were
Right,
saying.
yeah.
We
It's
are
about each other.
people. It's about each other. I don't give a darn if you're part of the Whig Party, which I was back in the day, by the way. Been here around that long.
You got enough hair for a
I
wig.
got enough hair for a wig. That's
just
true.
the wrong color.
It's just the wrong color. Yeah,
wrong
I've
color.
got to get the other one back on. We don't care, man. At the end of the day, like the sheriff said, it's about helping everybody. We serve everybody. I don't care about your political affiliation.
If we can
I don't
get Congress
care.
to do that.
That's exactly. If we can just get Congress to do that, you're exactly right. Scholar Shriver, that is a great question, and I'll present it to the sheriff right now. She goes, Sheriff, officers don't wear the mask?
They do. They that's part of the call. You all talked about earlier when you
Yes.
call in regards to a lot of what they do. Of course, they've already got the stuff. They're suited up.
Right.
When they have contact, that's part of the questioning. But they do have masks. They're available to them. And when they get out on the call, a lot of times they'll wear the mask. I can tell you this. I've seen the Stark Police Department, just because of one of the incidents they had, have all been wearing them the whole time. But if anybody's in that profession, you got to realize those masks get very I can
Yes.
tell you just with the strike team the other day, I worked for
Right.
about 3 hours, and my whole face, you could see it for about 2 days where it rubbed, and it
yeah.
takes some getting used to.
Yes,
and
it
some of them
does.
have the beard, some of them have the mustache and the goatee. But yes, all of them are equipped with the mask and goggles. Because here's the thing:
Right.
if they know that they're going into a situation, the CDC says they actually have to have goggles, not just glasses,
Right.
but goggles. So
Right.
they're equipped. They have PP, and they do have a full Tyvek suit if they're going on a certain call. But here's our problem: a lot of people we deal with, those things become part of the problem if you get resistance, and they don't know what they're encountering. So it's
Right.
it's sad. They're on the front line. We've lost 2 deputies in the state of Florida so far during this pandemic
have.
to the COVID-19.
And the help that I wanted.
Not Bradford County.
Not Bradford County. Right.
That was down in Brevard?
Yeah,
Was it?
Broward,
Somewhere, yeah, Broward.
Broward and Palm Beach.
This is where I want your help, Sheriff, if you can. Big corporations have been paid by the Fed. Small local companies are being told no money left. Which brings me to a good point. I talked to Jeff Foodie last week. And Jeff Foodie has processed over 150 small business loan bailouts and things like that, trying to help people out in loans. Can you help me? Maybe Tuesday night. Jeff, if you're listening, or I'm going to call you, or I'm going to try to text you, I would love for you to come on the spot Tuesday night to tell people what you're doing, what's going on, how this is affecting our economy. Can you help me out with that, Sheriff? Maybe
Absolutely.
Help me get him. Let's get him. Let's both get
Get
him.
him here, because I'm telling you, he's probably the one of the banks here that are doing it.
That's correct.
Been here forever.
Yeah.
And he's interested in trying to help small businesses.
Yeah.
We want to keep them here, y'all.
Yes, we
Think
do.
about it now. 150 in this
area, yeah.
area
Yeah.
of small business loans and more, and the government. They've used the money and they're waiting on another whatever. The politics
Right.
has gotten involved in it,
Right.
And it's in a waiting period, like the people waiting for their stimulus money.
Right.
Both sides are guilty. I don't want to blame one party.
No, absolutely
Everybody,
not. Everybody.
I've seen it out there. They said, "Well, the Democrats were trying to get this," and then I've seen the other side, the Republicans. Look, forget about it. Get in the middle and worry about the people.
That's
Right.
it.
Thank you.
Don't worry about yourself.
That's it.
Because, like I always
There's
say,
plenty of time for fight when this is over.
That's correct. Yeah, we can get back to that. Yeah, when this is all over.
we
You
the
got that
people
right.
we the people are the government, and
Yes,
that's the
we
way
are.
They
That's the
forget.
way they're supposed to look at it.
They do forget. Dorothy Starling said, Sheriff, social distancing will be the new normal.
I don't believe that.
You don't believe? That's a great. Elaborate on that a little
And
bit.
that's personal. That's
Your opinion.
That's a Gordonism.
Right.
My thing of it is I'm a handshaker.
Me too.
I still do it. You see me here. That's not water. That's,
too.
You see me about
Right.
4 times over on
Yep.
the show.
Yep.
It's become a habit. Of course, I did it all the time. If you
Right.
ever got in my truck, there's mouthwash, gum. My kids love to.
Sure.
Grandkids love to get in. They always know their stack of gum, breath mints. I'm a people person. I'm always talking to people. Mouthwash bottle. There's a bottle of Listerine in there. And hand sanitizer. I shake a lot of hands.
Yes, you do.
And I'm going to tell you, this too shall pass. Let me tell you, as Americans, we're going to get through this together.
Yes, we are.
Despite each other sometimes, we're going to get through this.
Right.
And we're going to go back to being Americans. We're a friendly country.
Yeah.
We're a people country. And I just think that we're very adaptable to our situation. Just like we've
Yeah,
adapted in a matter of 6 to 8 weeks, we've all adapted to this.
Right.
It won't take long. Now, are we going to change some ways? Maybe the social media thing will be to a better advantage.
Right.
Maybe the way we do food service and protective screens and protective shields we see at the Jiffy stores where we get our gas, our convenience stores.
Right.
They're still keeping the world going. There's going to be some similar things that we'll tell our grandkids about.
Of course. Yes, exactly.
But I remember
right.
going into a football game without going through security.
Correct.
I could smuggle.
Then 9/11 happens, right? And guess what?
We changed the
That's
world.
We changed the world, the
My
way
kids-
things happen.
My kids never. My
Yeah.
kids. My kids
And we
never.
survived that.
My kids never got to go to a concert without being metal detector screen
Right.
checked. So we're going to learn some things from this, but I truly believe we're going to go back to being good Americans and loving our fellow man.
I want to bring in somebody. Yes, Donald, we do need to support our local business. We'll get into that a little bit more. A girl that I went to school with, one of our top fans, Renee Stegall Shaw, she listened from Pascagoula, Mississippi. She says, our local restaurants are taking orders for curbside pickup and or delivery. Keeps the staff on a work rotation. It's better than not working at all.
Correctly. Yeah.
Renee, you said it right there. You just said
Nailed
it
it.
right. You nailed it right there in about 22 words. So, yeah, absolutely. She says, I've been doing a good bit of yard work the last couple of weeks, Sheriff, and I've got a big old pile waiting for a match. Now,
Hey, my neighborhood knows I burn stuff. I like to be outside. Right. So I'm an outside person. I love my yard. Doing those type things.
Yeah.
And I like projects. Those kind of things. But there's something about just burning a fire, man. I don't know.
yes. Renee, I do want to ask, is Jackson County under a burn ban, or is Pascagoula under a burn ban? You said you're waiting on a match. I know we talked about it here, but I'd like to know if they've got a burn ban going on over there. Eddie Lewis, we talked about you coming on the show as well. I'd like to have you come on at some point, but I want you to thank you for coming in. Wyatt Manning, thank you for coming in. I can absolutely say it's better in Bradford than in Clay, thanks to Gordon and his staff and the people that he works with. So Shirley says, great show, guys. Love our community. Shirley Bagwell says, J.E. Tomlinson helped so many small businesses during his time.
Didn't he? Wow.
Wow.
Everybody knew Miss J.
Oh, yeah.
I can tell you where he lived, and the house is still as beautiful today. The people that bought it over the years, it's really a nice place.
Yeah, and that's what is so great about our listening audience, because, you sit here and you're trying to pump out information and you're thinking of different things. And I would have never thought about J.E. Tomlinson just right then. But
That was
look
a
at this
blast from the
bag.
past.
That's
She brought
a
it up.
blast
I mean,
from the
it
past.
puts a smile on
The
it.
only time I
He was a
really hear
nice
it.
guy.
Yes, he was. I do hear it in several. The only time I really hear it is at the chamber bank.
Yeah.
Think about it, really. That's pretty much where you hear it. But
You think about from our college with Mr. Ant. I mean, we can go down the whole. There's some people here that we wouldn't be where we're at without them.
yeah.
Or because
You're right.
of them.
Because of them. That's exactly right. Yes, Julie, this too shall pass, as the sheriff and our staff has said. Donald Stevens, you hit it right on the head with 8 words too. It's we the people, not you the government.
Amen.
Amen, brother.
We depend too much on the government,
Yes.
y'all. There's some people, sometimes you got to help yourself,
That's it.
and then we're supposed to be given a hand up, not a hand out.
That's correct.
I like that.
You know
Yes.
what I'm saying? And that's what, our churches used to do it. We created this I don't want to name any name. We created this kind of socialist atmosphere where people depend more and more. Our population in Bradford County hadn't grown much
No.
since before I even became the sheriff.
Right.
But calls for services in so many different areas have increased. Myself and John Miller get in this debate all the time for the Telegraph. And
Right.
John said, well, the population, why is the call low? Because people expect different things. They rely more on government.
Right.
They call us over things they would have never called us before.
Correct.
And some things they can actually figure out on their own if they just.
The year I was born, the law book was about 350 pages.
Right.
Okay? The laws on the books now are novels.
Right.
Okay? And they're in the probably 12, 13,000 pages now, or it takes you hours of research on the internet that everybody all of a sudden becomes a computer lawyer,
Yeah.
social media lawyer.
Yeah.
Facebook court is now in session. Kind of thing. So it's easy because they'll Google something and get part of the
Right.
statute. It's like getting part of a Bible verse, to
Right.
fit your narrative.
Right.
It's we get it.
Yeah, she says all of Jackson County, where I used to live, as is under a burn ban, which I'm sure a lot of counties in the southeast right now is, even though we've been getting this rain. I'm sure
A lot
that,
of us hear calls for service, but we've realized now
Right.
that we've got into the leveling out. We did it out of an abundance of caution, but now we are getting some rain, and there's some things that need to be done while people are home. They're there to watch it, and manage it.
Right.
And most people are responsible. We don't want to hold it up for the few irresponsible people, which keep me a job.
everybody's saying this was a great show. Thank you for tuning in. We just bring you the information as we can. Hey, I want to thank Vincent Tucker. Here's your shout out, brother. Vincent Tucker went to my high school as well, but in 1988, we're 8 years apart.
Right.
He went to school with Shane Matthews
Really.
when they
Man,
won
one
the
of the
state
best. Hey,
championship.
that's a Gator.
That's
Anybody was a
I
Gator
love
knows
Shane
Shane
Matthews.
Matthews, man.
I told you the correlation, right? His daddy was my defensive back coach.
Really.
Yep, and then he became the head coach. But
You was a
back in
defensive
19,
back.
I was a defensive back, strong safety, played free safety a little
really?
bit. And
We
you know how I
thought we
made the
was tough,
football
didn't
team? Hey, you know how I made the football team? Vincent Tucker looked back as a punt returner. That's how I made the football team. Nobody wanted to do
You were
it.
fast one time?
At one time, weighed 165 pounds, and them 220-pound linebackers coming at it and nailed the
that gonna
mess
hurt.
out of me. Because, hey,
hurt.
fair catch? What was that? No, I just took it. Oh, yeah, I just
That's when
took
they
it.
put you back there. Say,
Yeah, so that's exactly right. So I was a dummy back then. But
get Dave, he'll do it.
yeah, he'll do it. That's exactly right. Yeah, get the small 165 pounds soaking wet. But I did it. I was pretty quick back
You were
in the
the
day.
little Johnny back today.
The little Johnny back there. But he says, good evening, David. Good evening, Mitchell. Good evening, Sheriff. I do want to give a shout out. I don't know if you ever seen it, Sheriff. He's got a show called Tuck and Z. He does a Facebook Live show too. It comes on Thursday nights. He's in Arizona. Yeah, Tuck and Z. Now, you'll have to probably watch it the next day because it's 7:30 his time, but it'd be 9:30 our time because he's mountain time.
Y'all, I'm a sheriff. We don't sleep, so you
don't
can.
sleep, so you
We
can
don't
watch
sleep,
it.
so
So
you
it
can,
comes on.
hey.
So it starts at
Hey.
9:30. They got a great little show out there, and we always trading off information, giving each other kudos. Him and this guy, Tuck and Z, they do a really good job. You've seen the show. Dave has seen it. I think they do a great job as well. Ladies and gentlemen, Vincent Tucker, Tuck and Z on Thursday nights, 9:30 your time, because our mountain time starts 7:30 out there. They've got a great show. They do exactly what we do. And I'm sure, Sheriff, he would love for you to come on and give a sheriff's opinion from Bradford County all the way to Arizona.
I tell you, my mouth gets me in trouble.
Yeah. So hot topics with Z and Tuck. I like to call it Tuck and Z. Tuck, yeah, you know, you're my boy. You know, I know it's Z and Tuck. So Jimmy Smith, your brother, great job, guys. But duty calls. His dad was my driver's ed coach. So, yeah, talking about Shane Matthew, and he was the driver's ed coach. You're exactly right, Vincent. Hot topics with Z and Tuck. Were you in Pascagoula when the UFO story hit? Terry Bond said, yes, I was. Renee Stegall-Shaw will tell you as well. We were there, and that's exactly right. That's one of the things they talk about on the Pascagoula River and all that. So, yes, sir, I'll have to tell you that story one day. I'll tell you all about that at some point.
That word's too big for me to spell.
Yeah, I know it. I was just going to say, maybe that's what we ought to have a
Mississippi's
spell
easy.
Pascagoula.
Crooked letter
Crooked letter I, crooked letter humpback I. Yeah, that's exactly
Pascagoula was
right.
on her final exam to get out of high school.
Oh, boy, you got that right. Does anybody else have any other questions? I'm going to go ahead and get ready to close the show out.
I
Again,
just got one question for the
Sure,
sheriff.
sure.
As far as the living quarters for Hilton Springs, are they going to be pretty well similar to Sampson City and what we've got out at?
Yes, we're trying.
Teresa?
Actually, when we inherited the Hilburn Springs, Terry McCarthy already had a set of blueprints,
right.
Oh, okay.
plans.
Right.
So it helps us be able to live within the budget. So we have a budgeted expense.
That sounds
do the
great.
sprinklers, all those type things. It was actually professionally done. We got to have it upgraded, of course,
Right.
and looked at and get it on a new set, but it'll save us thousands of dollars in that
Oh,
process.
you better believe it.
With the architects, that's I got to give Terry McCarthy and kudos to the Hilburn Spring firemen. They had plans. They were innovative and trying to move forward. So to that, we're going to take advantage and give that part of the community, because as fire services grows, as y'all know, I'm not a fireman.
Right.
I can tell you it's been some of the most rewarding part of my career. Been some challenges. We had to make some changes. But it's something that you see going on in Putnam County right now. We've already experienced it. You see it's going on in Baker County.
Right.
We just have to drive through some of that.
Yeah.
There's a few people that don't understand it, and I get it. I get beat up for some things that was taking place well before I inherited it.
Wasn't none of your fault.
It wasn't none of my fault. But you know what? I got big shoulders, and people can get behind a computer screen and spout things. I get it. I'm okay with
Sure.
that. That day will come to reckoning, and we'll deal with that. But my point of it being is it's service to the people. We want the best we can afford in Bradford County.
Right.
That's the whole key is what can we afford? And moving forward, those are decisions that the Board of County Commissioners. After 4 commissioners spoke with me, that's the only reason I inherited the fire department.
Right.
I didn't.
Right.
It was a responsibility of when it's my family, my neighbor, my friends that are in a wreck. It's not usually fire that firemen deal with. A lot of it's wrecks.
Right.
People getting injured. It's
Right.
fire rescue.
Right.
EMS is emergency medical that runs up with the big trucks up and down the road to haul you off. Fire and rescue is a different animal you deal with.
They're the guys that come cut you out.
They're the guys that come cut you out, get the limb
Yeah.
off of you, the stuff that falls on you. They're the heavy lifters.
Right.
When they say firemen, we always think of a house on fire.
Right.
Majority of it's not that.
Right.
And I've been honored to meet a lot of good men that I never really understood in my 33 years taking this responsibility. It was a lot of prayer and thought. And then there's people now that don't like the way, and I get it, that we're having to drive through some of that.
Right.
But we'll get there. Even with the naysayers, we're going to prove them wrong. It's we do have an award-winning EMS facility.
Right.
We're going to get our fire services to the same. And people, I get this thing every now and then. Somebody says he's trying to take over the whole county.
Oh, jeez.
But I'm going to leave it with this. When I became sheriff, they were giving back up. They wanted the animal control.
Right.
And I said I didn't want it. As the police chief, I'd been angled to get the city of Stark used to handle all animal control.
Right.
I got asked to keep it and maintain it. When I became the sheriff, shortly thereafter, code enforcement came along. There was an issue. We inherited it without adding a cost to the county. Now it does generate some money. It never generated any money before. We generate several $1,000s a year that go back to the general fund. In working with people,
Right.
From code enforcement to mapping to 911, that money you pay extra with your phone bills, Those things were inherited after issues and become our way. The only thing that the sheriff has asked for since being the sheriff was emergency management. Because it was part of our facility, but it fit the need. And let me tell you, Brian Johns was a phenomenal emergency management writer. I have a lot of respect. The man is a very good man, very good Christian man, and him and his family. That being said, he was retiring, and it wasn't a stronghold. Some people felt it needed to be under fire. I didn't know I was going to inherit fire. It was a total different animal. Which if I'd have had one of those fortune
Challenge balls,
I'd have a crystal ball. I might could have seen in the future, but it all fell into place, and that was lots of prayer and stuff. But emergency management just fit the goal, and it fit the what we do every day for a living in the sheriff's office, because the call started with the sheriff, and the calls always ended with the sheriff.
Right.
So we wanted the emergency management is just what you say. It's a support system, and we got a great team that know what they're doing, and we moved forward with that. Then fire came along with all the issues there. The assessment that they tried to do, I wasn't for that assessment, and I say that publicly. I think maybe somewhere down the road it needs to be adjusted, but I think working together, we can find a way to give Bradford County the best we can afford and serve our community.
I agree.
And the good thing about you, Sheriff, and what I like, you surround yourself with good people.
Most of them smarter. I'm gonna tell you, honest with you, smarter than me too.
Right, and I think you added DK Bennett. I think that was a
wealth of knowledge,
a great thing to add. Of course, me and him talked about several things and made a newspaper. Me and him were both on the same page, and he's doing a great job as well, and we appreciate
and Chris Cooksey, operations guy, we did well.
Yes, we did. Terry Vaughn, yes, that's exactly right. Real quick story. Shane Matthews, Terrell Buckley, and another guy Kez McCorvey, they all played on that 1988 Pascagoula team that beat Clinton High School 14-7 for the state championship. So you forgot Kez there, but a lot of great players came off that ball team that played Division I football. A couple of guys played at Ole Miss. A couple of guys played at Mississippi State.
I thought y'all played soccer out in Mississippi.
Well, we play field hockey too, but I'll tell you that story later.
I thought y'all just played stick ball.
Well, we do that too. Lisa Moody, thank you. We're trying to stay safe as well. Thank you for the wonderful comments. Renee Stegall-Shaw, I forgot about that. First female ref, Sarah Thomas. Came out of Pascagoula, Mississippi.
Really?
Sure did. Sarah Thomas.
Well, the girls had to be tough down there.
Yeah, boy, you ain't kidding.
You guys,
all those guys.
know.
James E. Johnson's got a good question. Sheriff, are you able to say if the 2 deaths of the COVID in Bradford County were nursing home related?
Yes. I'll say it.
Okay. He said it right there. James, right here. You heard it.
Yes.
Said yes.
The governor approved it today. Start telling where to come from, and we're going to. It's a sad story, and both of them had underlying condition, but there's somebody's loved one.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I have loved ones down there, and you can't visit them right now.
Right.
But I got to give kudos to those staffs. I mean, they're fighting the fight. That you got to think about it now. You got a loved one. It's your wife, your daughter that has to go in there and deal with that every day. Think about what the sacrifice they're making. So keep them in your prayers and your thoughts.
You better believe it.
For the staff and the people that are still serving and taking care of those patients and those assisted living
And
facilities.
let me say this. I've got one that stays with me. You know her.
Yep.
You know we've been taking care of her. Ariana Hankerson.
Yep.
Works at one of those homes. And believe you me, Shelly's had breast cancer and I've had pneumonia. We take the necessary precautions with her. You wash your clothes. You take your clothes off. You wear your mask when you're at work. Now, she hasn't been at work the last 3 weeks because she's down there visiting some of her other relatives down south. But we take the necessary precautions with her. She works in one of those nursing homes. That's why I tell you, that's why we get checked here when we come here. I want to make sure we got to, brother. We have to.
Anything over that 99 point something, I started getting, and that the other day, we sent one home.
Sure.
Who had a family member who's actually, so we all went into panic.
Right.
Lockdown mode around here. And but the test came back this morning. I got the first news. It was negative, but all it took was that little over 99.3. I think of what we're going by out there. If
Is that what you're talking about? Right.
That little thing, it turns red on you automatically.
Yes, it turns on red.
It tells you if it turns red, you're not coming in. Sorry.
Even yellow.
Yeah, yellow bothers me, but I'm telling you, that thing, it's paid off for us.
Right.
We've had some people, we've had some inmates. We've had to quarantine that come in. They're testing them when they come into the jail.
Right.
And they get quarantined from the rest. Right. And the staff all back there all wearing their mask and their goggles, and doing what they're supposed to be doing. The staff that works for Bradford County is doing what they need to be doing to be safe. and we're going to move forward with that in a little while.
And I tell you, I think it was a couple of weeks ago. I want to say maybe it was Nassau County. They had one of their fire stations that had to totally close down
Right.
because they
Yeah.
all had to go in
Yeah,
isolation.
exactly.
Well, you know, it's like us right now. We're looking at a system that will actually, you take like a fogger. You ever seen them little roach foggers
Right.
you put? It's a big fogging machine that will fog our EMS units, which is perfect timing with our new car wash facility, $25,000 car wash facility, which is actually $9,000. But that's another one of those misnomers. You can just throw it out there. But
That's another mystery, like that UFO mystery in Pascagoula, Mississippi in 76.
but it's the big, but it's got the higher top, so we can wash the
Right.
fire trucks. We can now pull
Yeah,
those in there.
sure.
Use that equipment to sanitize patrol vehicles, EMS units, fire trucks.
Right.
If you've had a patient you've hauled,
Yes.
we're getting that system. And actually, the same way the car wash is done through inmate trust fund.
Right,
Because
right.
we're using it for jail cells.
Right.
They go in and fog like that. It gets in every crook and cranny with this disinfectant. We're able to get it through the inmate trust fund because it's for the inmate health, but we can also use it for other means going forward.
Right.
So some good's coming out of it.
Lisa Moody Tomlinson said, yes, it's hard. My daughter works at one in Gainesville, and I worry about her every day.
Amen, Mama.
Yes, Mama, and we do
Amen.
too. And we thank her for her hard work. We got to have those people. They are one of those frontline people that I say kudos to you. Thank you for all that you do with your job. Noah Gibson says, raise the yellow flags. Okay. Next. Anyway, we're going to close the show down. That's just Noah and those minions. Have you ever seen Noah? You seen him come on?
I know
you know Noah.
I
He
know
gives
Noah.
all these little minions
yeah.
and all that. He loves them minions. Yeah, well, anyway. What a great show, guys. We could keep going and going and going. But, hey, some of us, we got families we got to go home to and things we got to do.
And I'm hoping
I've gotta
Austin's
eat.
weather service pays off.
Yes, it will.
And Austin,
yes.
we'll give him a shout out. I follow
Yeah.
him pretty regularly. That guy is spot on.
Yeah.
And I hope we get the rain so we can help lift this burn ban and get people to burn the yard. trucks.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that is great. I didn't get a chance to go over Noah's weather service, but you can catch him on Austin's weather service. He's out of Keystone Heights, Florida. If you're a member of his weather page, if not, we'll have it on our page as well. So, Austin Stevens, thank you very much. Thank you to his dad when he's able to come, that he brings him here as well. Sheriff, final thoughts on any, I do want to ask one thing again. If you can help me try to get Jeff Udi on. I did see Teresa Phillips on just for a few minutes earlier. I'd love to have Teresa Phillips come on as well. Yeah, whatever day she can do it. And also, can you help me? I know everybody's asked me this, and I've been trying and trying. Can you help me get Ben Carter on?
Get Brent.
Ben, EMS, somebody from EMS, if we can.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'll
they
talk
would.
to him, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. If we can, I'd love to have them Tuesday. Whoever we can get on Tuesday, I'd love to have them for the show. A lot of people's asked me. I'd really love to hear from EMS.
And everybody loves Ben.
And everybody
The
loves
Ben
Ben.
Carter band. You know
Yeah,
what
I
I'm
was just going to say, maybe Ben can bring his guitar and pick us a couple of chords while he's telling us what the story
You'll
is.
find a finer guy, but also top-notch paramedic. He does a great job.
Yeah. Ben, if you're listening in, and Sheriff's going to get a hold of you too, we're going to pound your phone to see if you can come on Tuesday night. A lot of people with a lot of questions. I've got 2 pages worth of questions that people has already asked, and, that I would love to ask him personally.
They know.
So, yeah, and they know. So, but anyway, final thoughts, Sheriff. Anything that that you want to say besides?
I do. I just want to close out with the citizens that we serve and just let them know that together we're going to get through this. With everything you hear going across the country, it's crazy. We're doing well here in Bradford County. Proud to be your sheriff and never fail to, if you have any questions, to pick up that phone and call. Because if we don't know it, we'll get the answer for you. And just want to let you know that we do love you. And at the bottom of the day, we really do care. That is more than a motto here. And it's not just me, but it's the men and women that work to keep our community safe each and every day. And to y'all on the spot, what y'all do and reaching out a local news source for us. We always had to fight for the big guys, even get a little attention.
Right.
And thank God that we have an interactive source here in Bradford County. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. We appreciate it. Dave Holland, anything?
Yeah, I'd like to go back to that, the Telegraph, a great news source for Bradford County.
Yeah.
The radio station, another great news source and information source for Bradford County.
Right.
And now we're introducing On the Spot with David Rodgers.
Right.
To cover another area of the news source for
Covering them all.
Bradford County.
Right.
Covered all our bases.
So we appreciate everybody for tuning in.
We sure do. It's all about you guys, and exactly well said, David. How about it, Mitch?
Just tell everyone to try to stay safe. Wear your mask if you feel uncomfortable. Your gloves when you go to the store. Again, if you got to go to the store, which I didn't follow my own rule, I went with the wife today. But if only one member of your family can go, it's always better to do so. And the reason why I went, I had to go to Garden Center to get some stuff for some projects for the house, and she didn't know what to pick up, so that's how I ended up.
That's how you ended up.
Going.
Costs
But
more money with her going with you.
Yeah.
it's always a lot of money.
I just want to say in closing out, first and foremost, Sheriff, I want to thank you and your staff, from the EOC to everybody that works here, to everybody that's affiliated here. What a wonderful job that you guys are doing. Y'all are staying on top of things. Also want to say thank you for letting us use this wonderful room that anybody can use. All you got to do is call Sheriff Gordon Smith, call Lieutenant Ray Schufert, which keeps this room immaculate and outstanding. Miss Wendy Russell, you can use this room as well at any time. All you got to do is call the sheriff and his staff, and you can set it up. You can use this room here as well. It's well lighted. It works great for us because you can project things better. So we want to thank you for letting us able to use this room. And every time that we call for it, thank God it's open. So it's usually open.
Busy. Y'all just
we just happen to come during the days that it's not so busy. So
we're fortunate.
it does.
It's been a couple of times, but I mean,
Yeah.
for the most part, if it's not being used, not much is being used right now other than what y'all are doing, getting the
Right.
news out.
Getting the
Which
news
is,
out.
Which
Right.
is important
Which
for
is
us
important.
because it's always nice when I can call you and say, make sure you tell them on the spot.
Yeah.
We're sharing the message. We're just trying to keep the information flowing.
Yeah.
Some people may not agree with the message.
That's
I get it,
okay.
But you know what? There's other sources.
Yeah, and that's
And
exactly
they
right.
They got a choice. They can, if they don't like it, they can find another choice. But we're working hand in hand. The news media,
Yes, we are.
The newspaper gets the same information. The radio station gets
Yeah.
the same information y'all get. You're just providing a source where people can interact and ask the questions
Right.
then.
And fortunate for us, Sheriff and David and Mitchell and Byron, who couldn't be here, and Michael, we just happen to be on twice a week. We set up the show. That's the way the show's set up. It's set up twice a week. Once at the beginning of the week to get out the beginning of the week information, and then Saturday's sort of, Gordon, is sort of a wrap-up show.
Yeah.
Trying to wrap up the week, and if there's anything new that just happened over the weekend, or at the beginning of Friday, we try to wrap that up on Tuesday. Also, I want to thank our farmers, our truck drivers, our first responders, anybody that works in that area. I want to thank our doctors, our nurses. I want to thank our grocery store workers, warehouse people, you name it right there. Brother, those are the real heroes that's going on
Absolutely.
right now. Hey, it's tough sometimes without sports because you know why? We're so used to it. We're used to just going, hey, let's click on that ball game. Guess what? There ain't no ball games so you can just click
Not
up
unless you
at it.
want to watch one from 3 or 4 years ago.
You already know the score.
So you're talking about there's no live sports, but you think about it, Sheriff, and you brought up a good point when you was talking. So did Bob about being at home with your families. This is the time to get close with your families. You know what I mean? Because like you said, one of these days it's going to come wide open and full circle again, and this time is going to be gone. Hopefully, maybe some people will take this to heed and go, hey, this has been a great time to spend with my kids, spend with my family, spend with my wife. If you're having troubles in your marriages, man, I know you're cooped up. I get it. But this is the time that you can talk out your problems, try to work things out, do some fun stuff with your kids. Man, memories, they last a lifetime, and they'll remember this time, even though it was a bad time.
I tell you something.
They'll remember it.
There'll be good to come out. I
Yes,
truly
sir.
believe there'll be more good than bad.
Yeah, me too.
I'll tell you something funny. Nikki, she goes, she's walking down the hallway and she looks in at Damien. She says, "What are you doing?" This is today. Oh, I thought I'd just go ahead and do some more schoolwork since I'm just sitting here. Yeah. So,
See,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't think she got that after you, man.
Yeah, Mitchell. Yeah, we may not want to write that
I
down.
didn't see myself ever doing that, but yeah, I get
yeah,
it.
Damien, that's
Yeah.
like, Damien's really doing
Yeah, Damien's.
schoolwork back there. Yeah,
He,
he's
did, he
really
didn't
doing
get that.
it.
He didn't get that.
I was always out in the yard doing something, or
Mitchell schoolwork. I'll be outside.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
So
I
I
only
on a
went to-
motor.
yeah. Or
Yeah.
I went to school just to hang out with friends.
yeah, that you went for recess and lunch. But anyway, right there you go. And the last thing I wanted to say, besides thanking all those people, is, guys, this is your show. This show is all about you guys. We welcome your questions. We welcome your comments. We welcome anything that you want to talk about. If we don't have the answer right away, we will promise you that we will find it for you. We will find the people that have that answer for you. And hey, this show's wide open. If you want to be a guest on this show, no matter what you want to talk about, no matter your agenda, whatever it is, your group that you're representing or whatever, I welcome you to come to On the Spot. You can call me at 904-966-1633. You can message me. You can email us at onthespot32091@gmail.com. And we would more than glad to have you come on the show. It doesn't matter who you are. Just give us a little bit of a warning. We'll set it up, and you can be a guest on our show. I promise you, you will have an entertaining time, and we will give you your chance to speak whatever it is that you want to speak on. I can promise you that from being the host of this show. On behalf of Mr. Dave Holland, our producer, Mr. Michael Heater, who's out on the call right now, our director, Mr. Byron Bagwell, who also got a call, one of my co-hosts, also Mr. Mitchell Gunner, our guest, Mr. Bob Milner, Vice President of the Bradford County Food Pantry, and our esteemed Sheriff, Sheriff Gordon Smith. My name is David Rodgers. I want to say thank you to all you guys. Please stay safe. Please have a great weekend, a great start of the week. We'll see you Tuesday night on the Spot with David Rodgers at 7 p.m. God bless you guys. Have a great night and a great weekend.
Good show.